This is a true crime discussions channel. We speculate. This is all just speculation. Because it's true crime, it's for mature audiences only. There will be no children allowed, no exceptions. Everything on this channel falls under fair use. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It's free.
That was weird. I don't know why it happened like that. Maybe it didn't mess up on y'all side. I hope it didn't. It's good to see y'all. Hey, Queen Olive, Ruth Ann, and Edith, and Bad Girl, and Bonnie, and Hill Sandra, and Indy, Mrs. O, a name here, Hannah, Carolina, Genevieve, um, Hannah UK, Angela, good to see you. Cara, good to see you. Lisa Lynn, good to see you. Why are you doing that? Sam Brown, good to see you. Good to see you. Nikki, Jenny Jen. Okay. Basil, I love you, baby. Okay. Sorry, thoughts. Let's get thoughts together. Nikki has 2 questions for us. We'll talk about that real quick. Nikki says, Jen, why do you dislike your daughter so much? You let Stephen do so much harm to such a beautiful little girl. That's a good question. And Jen, why do you like your daughter? Okay, it's the same thing. I wonder if she would answer that question. I don't know if she would. Hey, Heathen and Anna and Julie and Peach Tampa Bay, Boomer. Good to see you. Good to see you. So we were gonna do a call-in show today. Let me turn this on. I suppose that if you can call, hold on just a second. Lord have mercy. Hey, AM, Belladonna, good to see you. Okay, so I'm gonna turn on this thing that I have, and if you want to call in, you can. And um, okay, I think it's on. And I suppose I'll hold the phone up to the speaker. I will also drop the link. I'm sorry, I'm a little scattered brains. I have no idea. Like 5 minutes, I guess. I am a little scatterbrained right now. Okay, there is the number. Now, there is documents that came out. And I have one of them, and I thought maybe we would go over it real quick. Well, it probably wouldn't be very quick. And then I will let me do this too. I will also drop the link if somebody wants to come up and talk. If you have a question, I suppose you want to know what this is in reference to. If you could ask Jennifer Soto or Sephan Sterns any question in the world, what would it be? Do you think that they would answer the question? Please keep it respectful. Yes, please. Um, do you think they would answer the question? Do you think they would tell the truth about the question that you answered, that you asked? Like if they answered it, do you think they would tell you the truth? Okay. I've never used this thing that I'm using for y'all to call, so hopefully I don't miss anything and um the volume is up. Sorry, I'm scatterbrained. I had an appointment this morning and I should have been better prepared. Okay, so document. I have a document. There's actually 3 documents, but I have one ready for us to discuss that have been submitted yesterday or the 29th, April 29th. What are we calling? My phone, or you can come up online. It's not my actual phone, but it's a phone, and I can put it up to speaker. And if you want to talk about the case or tell me what questions you would have for them, if you could ask them anything um, and all of the things, what would it be? All of the things like that. Fonny said, was Jen diagnosed with a cognitive disability? I don't know. I feel like I have one right now, if we're being honest, because my brain's not working. Oh my gosh. Y'all, I think I broke my I did something to my rib. And then yesterday I was putting up a fence and I pulled something and it hurts. I was trying to lift my arm up. Oh, yeah, the scrolling number. Sorry. It's 919-283-1580. And then you said, were doctors suspect, do doctors suspect she has one, but the parents rebuke the idea? That's a good question. Hannah says to Jen, if you had a chance, would you change the events of the night Maddie was unalived and the next day? I think that she would. Honestly, even if I hate to say it like this, but like even if it was just so she didn't have to deal with everything she's having to deal with now, I think she would. But that's just me. Let's see. Belladonna says, I have a question. Hey, Miss Sarah. I'd asked Jen Soto, what, if any, value did Stephen bring to your life? That's a good question. Bruce Banner said, I would ask Stephen if he is prepared for the death sentence. That's a good question. It would have happened eventually. Hey, Ada. Good to see you. Good morning, Kalisa. It's so long it won't type. Well, you can come up on panel, or you can call. I need to pin the link. Let me pin the link at the top. Hold on just a minute. Let me turn this down. Where did I drop that dang link? Hold on, I'll drop it again. She wants sleep. That's number one priority. Yeah, why was sleep your one and only priority in all of this? I honestly think she knew that something was going on. Honestly. Okay. Oh, let me get out of this. I pinned the link. I wanted to make sure my volume was up so I could hear this thing if anybody wants to call. Okay. That's okay. I got to take southern accent too sometimes. Bad girl said I'd asked what made you think of Woody Allen when it came to Stephen and Maddie. That's a good question. She didn't work that day or the next day or the next day. Why do you hide? I think she hides because she knows how messed up it is and how it's perceived. Why did you think she needed a babysitter at her age? Well, I think that they thought she couldn't do anything by herself. Sometimes. Pusha girl. Pusha girl? Aw. I might could understand you. But you're doing good in here, Bruce. I can go from Southern Belle to Memphis Ghetto in a minute. That's funny. They didn't want her around other people for fear she might tell them what they had been doing to her. I think so, Michelle. A name here said, Jen, did you institutionalize yourself to avoid prosecution? That's a good question. Because she knew, whether consciously or subconsciously. I think she definitely knew. Okay. Let me know if anybody calls and like you can't get through because I think it's open. Stephen needs to supervise her showers. Yeah, that's weird, Anders. I don't think anybody should be having supervised showers. I felt weird going in when my kid, when they're toddlers and things like that, that's fine. But teaching them how to wash their hair and things like that, and they're still very young when that's going on. That shit is weird to me. Fonny said, I'm teasing because your accent. Oh, you're so sweet. Mayla said, Jen, you say Stephen and Maddie were upstairs only about 5 times. So then where do you think all the abuse happened for a good 4 or 5 years? Which room? That's a good question. Hey, Bazard. Bazard said, this is a messed up question, but Jen, did you ever really want Maddie in your life? You acted like you didn't. Hmm. I think, honestly, I think that if she didn't want Maddie in her life, I don't think she would have fought for custody like she did. I think at some point she did, especially judging by the pictures we have of Maddie when she was young. And she's like in a ballerina outfit and dressed up just so cute. And there's like professional pictures taken of her and stuff. I think at one point she did. But I think that there was hostility and she was upset with Maddie when she was upset at Maddie when she became older and began to fight back and argue more. But I mean, we know it was due to trauma and abuse. A number the Okay, so my phone number is scrolling across the bottom of the screen. It says if you would like to call in, the number is 919-283-1580. If you want to call and like not say your name, I can put you where people can hear you and you can ask your questions that way. Or you can come on panel, or I can scroll through chat like I'm doing now and we can talk about it. Boomer said, Stephen, what made you so upset that Saturday? That's a good question. She knew, in my opinion. I think Jen profited. You think so? Oh, Hiosandra, that's a good question. Hiosandra said, there's a rumor you have a new friend tied to the person sending you commissary. Is this person a romantic involvement? That's a good question. It's good to see you, Sarah. I'm so glad you're here today. Nailed it. It's isolation. I think he drugged her and accidentally gave her too much. Jamie, I think so too. I questioned that several times. I think that he had been drugging her for a long time. Woo, I'm way behind. All right, let me try to go for just the questions. Yeah, they're all good questions. Mayla. Okay. You heard that she wasn't in a psych ward? I don't know. Jen, are you aware that there's nothing legal about allowing a grown man to sleep with your child? That's a good point, but the issue in that, a name here, lies in can the state prove that she sent Madeline upstairs to bed with him knowing that he would abuse her? Can we definitively say that when she told Maddie to go upstairs, that she knew 100% without a doubt that he was going to do things to her? And if we can't prove it, that's the issue with it going to court. Okay, Michelle. Yes, abusers do isolate their victims. They absolutely do. Uh, he then said, "Yeah, I doubt it was because they babied her." Hey, Bazard, you can't baby and expect a child to do such grown things. That's true too.
Howdy, howdy.
Hey, how are you?
I'm pretty good.
Good to see you today.
How about you?
I'm doing good.
Good, good.
Indy said if she knew nothing and was not involved, why hide and not stand up for Maddie's justice? That's a good question. Like
Mhm.
even if she didn't know anything, why wouldn't she come out here and say, "Yeah, I want full and complete justice for my child"? Um, I could see being afraid of the public, but I would think she would do more. I can see that. Manda said, "Do you think that's why Stephen had to move upstairs because of their text message that said I can't have her sleeping with me? I can't risk it." That's a good question.
I was going to say Nietzsche has been doing her take on the derivative audio, and I don't know if it was part three or part two, but she is mentioning that it does seem that Juan and Chris were basically getting annoyed with on either side of Jen and Stinky when it came to the whole living situation and rent. And it does seem like, from what Nietzsche was saying, that they were trying to find a way to where Jen could have him there as the nanny to take care of Maddie when Jen was busy with either work or what Nietzsche was thinking. From what it sounds like in the derivative, I can't say it, derivative audio, the prosecutor mentions that Jen, it sounds like you were in relationships, and he said relationships, not relationships with other people after you supposedly broke up with Stinky, and Jen was like, yeah, and we know that Jen was bi, and it what Nietzsche was going with was that what if this idea was that well if Jen wanted to have someone over, which was probably maybe a woman, she would have Stinky deal with Maddie while Jen does whatever Jen does. If you get what I'm saying.
I do. So basically using him as a nanny. I mean, is that right?
Yeah, that was what Nietzsche was going with, and when I thought about it, like I mean, it does make sense in that way because it just seems weird that on both, like with Chris Wise, Chris was getting tired of Stinky living in his house because he wasn't doing shit, and then
Mhm.
with Juan was annoyed that he wasn't paying rent, so it was like he either stays there or pays rent or he just leaves. So it does seem like this excuse for him to come over a lot more if Maddie didn't pass away would have been some sort of thing like I think it makes sense that they would do something like that. Like, oh well, he's just staying here for a little bit, blah 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 blah. But he'll go back and or we'll find a way where he can stay here and he will pay rent. And I'm doing air quotes because he never was going to pay rent.
Yeah. I think it's possible. I don't know. I mean, if she trusted him 100% fully with Madeline,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's possible. I don't know if it would be likely, but definitely possible. I mean, yeah, I would say that it's a possible speculation.
Yeah, and like I said, and I thought it was a pretty interesting theory.
Yeah.
Because it just
Oh,
mhm.
okay. Sorry. I apologize.
No, it's fine.
She called. Okay, Belladonna had said that she had called, and I wasn't looking at the phone. It didn't
Mm-mm.
ring. I'm gonna try to call you back. You can talk if you want to for a second.
Okay, yeah, no problem. But yeah, yeah, like I said, I thought it was an interesting theory from that take. But I want to see what everyone else wants to ask question wise because I know it's going to be a lot of interesting questions.
Hello?
Hey.
Hey, I have several questions.
Okay. I'm gonna try to turn it up.
Okay. I don't want to hear myself talk, but that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can y'all hear it? I'm gonna turn this off. Ah, Lord of mercy, I am not together today. Okay.
Oh, it's all right.
Sorry about that.
Um, my first question is if he found her and she was stiff as cold and dead, how did he pick up dead weight and pack it by himself?
Good
That's a
question.
good. Yeah, that's a good question. I would think that he might be strong enough to pick her up because she was small, but that is a good question.
My husband passed away. He weighed like 170 pounds, and it took 5 men to pack him out.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry
So
for your
it's
loss.
not going to be an easy thing to do.
Yeah, I'm sorry for your loss, and they were saying it online
Well,
too.
yeah, so I was just putting that, with, my life, things, some of it just don't make sense. And
Hmm.
another thing, was her hyoid bone, was it dislodged or was it broken?
I believe it was broken.
Okay, because the Vinny guy said that it was dislodged, and I had a horrible thought of what might have done that. But
Okay.
if
Hmm.
it was broken, we'll leave it with broken.
Well, I mean, I could be wrong. I believe I heard it was dislodged, but just in case I mean, I believe I heard it was broken, but just in case I'm wrong and it was dislodged, what's your thought on that?
Well, I mean, if he's knocking her out and doing sexual things to her, maybe he dislodged it by putting his penis in her mouth and pushing it too far.
Um, so yeah, I know I will tell you this, and I know I do want to say I apologize to everybody on
Trigger
stream.
warning. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a hard thing to hear. No, you're fine. But I have went down that road before because I've talked to people in private about that, and we have also wondered the same thing, considering the blood in her mouth, in her throat,
Right.
and things like
I
that.
mean,
We've
maybe they
wondered.
didn't. I'm sorry.
No, you're
Maybe
fine.
they didn't find sperm inside her anywhere else or on anything else because it may be in her stomach.
Yeah, yeah. I know that's a again. I know that's a hard thing to talk
Hmm.
about and think about, but yeah. I mean, it. I think it could be possible. Depending on the depravity of this person, and we know he's a very deprived person, not deprived, depraved
Right.
person.
He's a sick fuck.
Yeah. So I
I'm so
think it's
sorry to bring up the untalkable, but I mean, it's just stuck in the back of my head ever since I've heard
Hmm.
this case.
right.
So I really have this feeling that maybe what happened, and like I said, he didn't get her out of there by himself.
I don't think he did either. I mean, I thought, well, she's a small child or whatever, but so
Hmm.
he could probably pick her up, um, being a small child. But then you say that your husband wasn't, entirely, really big, and it took 5 people to get him out. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
because stiff and dead is very, very heavy. They're like 3 times heavier.
As
Oh
they said,
wow.
dead weight. Yeah. Hmm. Well,
So
I
this little
just.
bitty man couldn't have done it by himself. And I'm so sorry if you can't understand me. I'm from Kentucky.
Oh no, you're fine.
Well, like I said, I just recently saw a Nietzsche video, and there's a part when the I forgot the prosecutor's name.
But that was all I had to ask. Is so far that's all I've come up with, and those 2 things has really bothered me.
Yeah.
And I wanted just to see what you guys thought about it, and I guess I'll read the comments in the chat to find out.
Okay, yeah, no, you're fine. Bazard was talking. When you come back in chat, I think he was gonna go further in on what you were saying.
Hmm.
Bazard, I think the issue is that I have headphones on, so I was trying to like move my headphones so that she could hear what you were saying, but she can't. I don't think she can hear you on the phone because you're in my ears. So I think that's kind of the
Oh, okay.
the problem. But when you come back in chat, I think we're going to go in further on that. And I appreciate you calling in. And I apologize if it was weird. I'm kind of getting used to this myself, but I think you got some very
Yeah.
interesting theories, and I
Hmm.
appreciate you sharing them with us.
Yeah, I'll have a couple more, but I won't bring those up right now. I'm waiting for the child.
Okay.
but I will. If you do this again, I'll definitely call back and let you know about them. But yeah, just let me see if they'll let me know what they think about all that because it none of it makes sense. It don't.
Hmm.
Right. Yeah, I
So,
agree.
all right. Well, I will let you go. Thank you for taking my comments,
Yes, ma'am.
and
Thank you for
I'll
calling
talk to
in.
you later.
All right.
Okay.
Have a good
Thanks.
day.
Take care.
Okay. I apologize. Let me see. I'm so frazzled. I need to take my adaptive. Okay.
It's all
So,
good.
what were you saying, Bazard?
So I was going to answer her second question. So Nietzsche, I just saw, I think, well, yeah, today's recent Nietzsche video. Oh, maybe it was yesterday, but she was mentioning there's a part where I forgot the name of the prosecutor, the one that with the state that asked the whole derivative thing of Jen, but he asked her, did she see her at any time that morning of what the 26th? And Jen, of course, does her little quiet no. And Nietzsche was like her said, this is her theory, but she was thinking that the way we know whenever Jen says something real quiet, she's lying in her own
Mm-hmm.
way. And Jen, uh, Nietzsche was believing in her theory that Jen probably most likely did see Maddie deceased, probably helped Stinky get her dressed up because knowing him, I highly doubt he would know how to put even a little girl's bra on because when they found Maddie's body, she had a bra on, shirt, the pants and jacket. And her theory is that Jen most likely was up, saw the aftermath at least,
Mhm.
helped assist getting Maddie dressed, and then asked the question, how was he able to carry her outside to get her in the car unless maybe there was a lookout to see if anyone
Yeah.
was outside. And I think that possibly could be in a good decent route of what happened. Um, it to me that makes sense because there's just no way whenever Jen talks in her low quiet mode that when she does that she's clearly lying. So
Yeah, I think it's very possible. The bra thing, I mean, I knew people that could, I mean, I'm not trying to talk about, my former teenage years, but I had a boyfriend that could undo my bra with one hand, when I'm in high school and
hmm
you're dating and all that. I think that maybe he could get her bra on if it was off, but I agree. I don't say that to disagree with you. I agree with you. I think it's weird how she reiterates the story of, oh, I woke up to him putting the leash on the dog because he was putting the leash on the dog. Like, why couldn't you have just woke up? I woke up to go pee or something. I don't know.
hmm
She's very specific about he was putting the leash on the dog, and I woke up then, and a lot of things that happened that morning. I think that she's just too they're so specific. The whole thing with the check the vape shop so you can get camera footage of that, but
hmm
nowhere of Maddie. Like a lot of things that she said doesn't add up to me. I think that she does have a cognitive disability, absolutely, and I think that the cops see it too. Again, and I want to go back to the video that we have, the only video we have of Jim being interrogated. The cops know that there's something there too, but I think
hmm
that they've had to drop it because they haven't been able to prove anything definitively. And I want to hear the immunity interview without the redactions because they made it sound like there wasn't redactions, but I know for a fact there was redactions in that interview.
I think
And
that's the one that Nietzsche's going over. I want to say that's the one. From what I would never hear it because it's like an hour some video at least on her end, and it doesn't always sound like there's a lot of words blinked, well, audio cut off. I mean, there's some here and there, but I think that is the one. Like I said, I could be wrong, but I mean,
yeah.
every time we hear these or watch these videos, it's just more and more stuff showing that at least with Jen, I mean, I kind of thought about it too that maybe she does have some cognitive disabilities. It looks like it, but then it's still like, well, why would you still say the Woody Allen comment? You lied about how many times Maddie basically slept with this so-called boyfriend of yours for the over the years.
Excuse me. Yeah,
Mm, it-
sorry. I didn't know if you heard that. Yeah, because she knew it was wrong,
mhm.
obviously.
So it's like, is that why they did give her this partial immunity and then haven't charged her yet? Because maybe they're still trying to decide. And I guess sometimes it takes years if you want to finally prove someone, gather the evidence to say they were involved in something. If they have like maybe some form of mental disability, I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Well, I mean, I think that what I mean by that is like I think she has a cognitive disability, but I think she plays it. I don't think that
Mm-hmm.
for a second, that you're going to think a Woody Allen situation is possible and probable and could be probable, but you didn't know what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, Belladonna, please don't apologize for your question. And that's the reason why I kind of went in on that. Like I haven't. I think I wanted to let you know that you should feel valid in that question because I've discussed it with very close friends or moderators of mine. The possibility that because okay, you look at the pictures Maddie drew. Maddie drew very graphic picture of what was being done to her. And then she drew a picture of that was still graphic, but it was a man standing up and a girl on her knees. And if this is something that happened often, I think it's possible. And we've discussed it with the DNA reports where his DNA was on her chest, and then she's got blood in her throat. we've discussed the possibility of was he forcing her or was she doing something and he was like, moving
Mm-hmm.
her head and it too hard or something and she choked somehow. I mean, I think it said, if I recall correctly, there was matter in her mouth of like where she kind of spit up or choked or something to that effect. Don't quote me on that. That could be complete misinformation. I would have to review the DNA paperwork again, and there's so much paperwork I can't remember off the top of my head. But I think that foamy stuff was in her mouth. So we've discussed the possibility of that, and please don't feel upset about asking that question, because it's a valid question. I just haven't brought it up because it is graphic, but you're fine in bringing it up. I don't want you to ever feel like that. And I
Mm-hmm.
appreciate you calling in. I really do. That and I'm glad that I got a feel of how the call-in thing works now too. So please don't feel upset about that. And hey to everybody coming in. Okay, so Fawny said Bazard, right. The lack of answers is an answer. And oh my God, the hair dryer and ponytails in Stefan's room, no reason at all. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh
That
yeah,
she
yeah, that is a good point. See that's why it's like when it just dumbs me. Like, okay, you at least with Jen, maybe with Stinky, maybe he definitely was worried, but with Jen, it's like, okay, they close off your townhouse, and then you know that they're going to be finding stuff in that room because that was the last place that Maddie was with, that you supposedly saw her alive, and you don't think anything is weird about why is a grown man having feminine girl products in his room. It's just
Yeah.
I, I and if I was like a roommate, well, then that makes you wonder. I always thought about this too. I wonder if they purposely always went for women roommate. Oh, my phone keeps making alarm noises. I wonder if they purposely went after women roommates and not a male roommate. Because if I was a male roommate, if I was like the roommate, and I started like, why is your daughter going to live with your ex boyfriend's room? I mean, I know a man would have eventually most men would have started questioning that. I don't know why
Hmm.
the female roommates didn't, because they haven't have known. That's another thing too. I guess a separate thing, and then we'll go back. Like, I kind of feel the female roommates knew what was going on a little bit too, to a degree that they haven't known that the girl was sent to that guy's room. Maybe they know it every so often, and they thought that is weird, but then they didn't say nothing. Well, say nothing really about it. But if it was a male roommate, oh, I think he would say something about it.
Really, that's interesting because if I think of a man, I think of somebody that's like, doesn't want to be any what involved, like involved in anything. So I would think of a man like, if I think about my husband, he doesn't notice things like that, which not like
Mhm.
that, but like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. There's nothing like that going on, but he doesn't pick up on like, hair dryers, hair ties, the girl stuff everywhere. Um, I would think a man would not be as observant as a woman was personally.
Mhm.
Um, you think they would?
I think at least with if he would notice that, why is my roommate's daughter always going to sleep in the room where her ex-boyfriend, or at least if I knew that they were broken up, and it's like, why is he even still here? And then why are you allowing him to sleep? Why are you allowing her to sleep with your ex-boyfriend by themselves? I think a man roommate would be very suspicious.
Yeah. I do know that one of the roommates did question Maddie being in the room with Stephen playing video games, and then Jen texts back, "Thank you," and shut it down. I don't know, like a question because the roommates interviews they say that they thought Maddie slept on the bed in her room or with Jen. So I don't know
Mhm.
that they knew, but I mean, I don't know if they knew and weren't saying anything to the cops. I don't know if they legitimately didn't know and were being honest with the cops. All of these things, yeah.
Because
And that would be a good question.
it just feels strange that, at least I'm trying to remember which of the roommates was there. I guess technically the longest. Because even if like I said, I've roommated with people before, and I eventually would pick up and notice things, and nothing compared to what happened with this, but it'd be like, okay, well, I'm noticing my roommate seems to be having different women in his room, and he supposedly has a girlfriend. I would easily notice that, and then be like, dude, what's going on? But then again, I would consider
Yeah.
that's none of my business because that's adults. But if it's like a child, I'm like, every so
Yeah.
often I'm noticing this little girl's in your boyfriend's room or your ex-boyfriend room with him sleeping supposedly. That would be really suspicious in my opinion.
Yeah. I think so. The roommate with the kid, Natalie, said in her interview that initially there would be no men there.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. That is interesting. And then Stephens all of a sudden,
Mhm.
yeah.
Exactly, Belladonna. If it's like if you're there long enough and you just thought, okay, why am I noticing let's say every so often your roommate's daughter, teenage daughter is going in the room and staying with the boyfriend for hours and not coming out, unless he comes out and then she comes out later. Like that would be like weird kind of things to be noticing and not saying nothing about it.
Right. Tom says there was no man there. Yeah, there was a man
Exactly.
child, a
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
I see, Anna, I don't know if I think the roommates were like kind of I mean, I think they found things suspicious, but I
Mhm.
think that they tried to kind of stay away from it and stay out of it. I don't know.
And that's the feeling I get too. And I get that in today's day and age, we all try to not always get in other people's business. Some people would like to do that a lot, but for most of us, we like just kind of do our own thing. But I don't know, it just seems weird if you're roommating with someone and then just noticing weird things like that. You won't say nothing about it, or like I said, if it was a male roommate, I think he would eventually be like, "Dude, what's going on? Why you always have this little girl in your room like at night for hours? And it's just you two."
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Um, Boomer said that pointed out what I was thinking too. Where'd it go? I think that they would wait for a roommate. I think that they would wait for the roommates. I think they waited for roommates went to sleep before Maddie went into room number 4.
Mhm,
I think
mhm,
that was going on, or they would
mhm.
go in there before the roommates got home and Maddie would kind of stay there. And I thought that for a while, but then I was like, well, what if Maddie had to use the bathroom or something? Like she would have to come out of that room
Mhm.
because there wasn't a bathroom in there. And then they would hear, I mean, if you think about somebody walking in a house, especially up and down stairs, everybody walks different. Like my mama told me I sounded like I heard elephants coming down the stairs. And
Right.
her, I never heard. So they would know the difference in how Maddie walks up the stairs and comes down the stairs. So I would think they would hear her coming in and out of the room to use the bathroom or something, even if like they were in there with the door shut before the roommates came home.
Mhm.
So I
And
don't know.
Bruce, you're right. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's
Okay. Bruce said, imagine 35,000 pictures and videos were found in Sephan Sterns' possession. What a number. And that's a good point. I wanted to go into this because I was flipping through it. And right here, evidence to be suppressed. I mean, I won't read through the whole thing. I'll put out a video and go through this. This is the motion to suppress evidence obtained from Google search warrant, and it in parentheses it says corrected. And there's 3 of these documents, so they had to correct something. I haven't had time to read it, but I caught this where it says evidence to be suppressed. Um, the defendant moves to suppress the following evidence obtained directly and derivatively from the unlawful search of the Google account pursuant to a warrant dated February 28, 2024. And number 1 is all files, photographs, videos, and media contained in Google Drive folders, including but not limited to over 1,700 files of alleged contraband media spanning from 2019 to 2024, associated metadata, location data, and file creation modification dates for these files, private messaging data and communication records, cloud storage backup data, and location history and associated information. So again, I mean they're trying to suppress every single one of the images of Maddie, which was 1,700. And that's not even going into the 35,000 that Bruce was just mentioning.
Well, I know I just saw something recently where I believe it was the male defense lawyer was like I think it was on Grizzly. I want to say maybe it was Grizzly. It was someone where it was like the three motions from previously were trying to get redone over again from him or something like that. I might be getting it mixed up, but it was like they were trying to get the same three things taken out. The previous three motions that were all denied, except this latest one where it's going to be decided until what, by July or something.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about the motions to keep the media out of the trial being denied?
Yeah, it was like
Okay.
it was something where it looked like previous motions that the defense tried to have set up and it got denied were redone again, or it was something like that. I might be getting mixed up, but I believe Grizzly was mentioning about it on her video like either a few days ago or something like that.
So I know these are the only motions I've seen redone, and these motions have not been decided on. Trailgazer said the corrections were the defense had pages out of order in each
Oh,
motion, and they've been corrected.
got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I hadn't had time to look at it and figure it out. I agree, Tom. You
That's a good
rec-
one.
yeah. Indy says in the interview with the roommate, she says she texted Jen at one point to ask if she was aware Maddie was in the bedroom with Sephan Sterns. Jen texted, "Thank you." Yep, and that was it. It's
That's
good to
such a
see y'all.
that's such a bitch move. Excuse my French, but it's very like a bitchy move. Like, oh, thank you. It's like, okay, just want to let you know that's kind of weird.
Yeah. Um yeah, the fact that she just said thank you and shut it down immediately is weird to me. I don't know. I mean, but how do you respond to that? Like you're renting a room from somebody and you're renting a room from somebody because you don't have enough money to go rent a house of your own, right? And they're your roommate and they're your friend because evidently they were friends before. And you say, hey, this grown ass man has your child in the room. And I mean, I understand. I think she thought they were playing video games or something. And I just wanted you to know that he's in there with Maddie and the door shut. And then the person just says, thank you. Like, you can't even say, like, if she was to text back and say, oh, I didn't know that, thanks for letting me know, then that
Hmm.
opens it for a conversation, right? But if,
Hmm.
if you just text back and say thank you, like, what do you even say to that? Like, what, you knew about it? Like, are you gonna type that out? You knew about this and like make them
Hmm.
feel awkward? Like, it doesn't open a door for any more conversation to be had. And I'm wondering if she did that on purpose. And again, that would go back to her cognitive ability. Like, she had disabilities, but yet she was smart enough to text back just thank you to close the door to any further conversation about it.
I mean, that's what it comes off like that. It just
Right.
comes off as, sure, thanks for letting me know, whatever. And it's like, okay, but then if you notice it again, like, hey, Jen, I know you're at work or whatever, but is it normal for your daughter to be, it's like, let's say 4 or 5 in the morning, and I hear her making or talking with Stearns, and I thought she was supposed to be asleep. I
Yeah.
don't know. This like this me as like I said, for me as a guy, I would just be very weirded out that my female or male roommate who has a kid is staying up with either their boyfriend or girlfriend for hours at night when it's like, aren't they supposed to have to go to school tomorrow? Like, why are they up at 4 or 5 in the morning?
Let me tell you right now. Yeah, I see you would, and I would. I hear children up 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm thinking, don't that child have school? Like, I'm here to tell you, y'all know I homeschool my children, right? So when you
Mm-hmm.
homeschool, it's like good for people who work third shift or something because then when you're home during the day, if the kids are on the same schedule as your husband who's working third shift, right? Like, you could do it where the kids are up at night and you do schooling then, and then the whole house sleeps during the day. Like, you can do your own time frame when you're homeschooling, but I don't do that. But I've heard of people doing things like that for that reason. But I'm gonna tell you what, my children are in the bed at 9 o'clock every night, and we get up every morning and do schoolwork. Like, if they were not in the bed at 9 o'clock, they would be falling asleep. I don't know. I and again,
Yeah.
that's my, at 9 o'clock, I got a few minutes to myself before I lay down and go to bed myself. So I don't know. I don't know. It's just
I,
weird. I don't
I
know
mean,
why.
yeah, for me growing up, it was like the furthest I can remember at the time, let's say elementary and then middle school, it would be probably 10 or 11. So it's almost kind of a little bit like with Maddie. Supposedly she would stay late up to maybe 11 or 10. And
Mhm.
then when I was like in high school, yeah, I'll probably stay up a little bit longer. But as an adult, I mean, it fluctuates between my hours and everything else. But I try to at least not stay up for 5 or 6 in the morning, and then I'm gonna be asleep all day the next day. And if I have to go to work the next day, that's going to be a really shitty day at work. So
Yeah.
it is just weird that and I have a feeling that's probably something that I feel like the roommates were noticing. At least the ones that were, I'm assuming, was it Natalie was the one that was there the longest? Because I know there was another one that was recent, but I can't remember if it was the one with her son or the friend.
I can't
Um,
I don't remember which one was
mhm.
newer.
But I feel like if
Oh,
you were like at least one of the older roommates, that it just would have been strange just to hear a little girl supposed to be going to school the next day and she's up like at 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning in the room with your friends or your roommate's boyfriend.
I had somebody call in just now and I missed their phone call. I tried to call them back. I've got to figure out this phone call thing.
Hopefully they'll call back again.
Yeah. Okay. Let me set this where I can see it. Okay. I was going to say something and I completely forgot.
I was just reading what Boomer was saying. That's a good point. I wonder if she would discuss what she saw.
Yeah. I wonder that too if she would discuss what she saw with Stephanie.
They probably
Um
did. I feel like they did.
I'm sure she knew something about what Stephen did to Maddie. I truly hate her and I wish I would say she knew everything, but it's hard for me to accept a mother could let her baby girl go through that. Right.
Well, after
And
I saw, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I was after I saw your Veronica full video. What was that? The second interview with the mom or the first interview with the Veronica case?
oh, Victoria?
Victoria. I'm sorry, I got it mixed up.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second interview is the most graphic one. That one's been out on the internet, but that shit is crazy.
And yeah, I was just gonna say with Veronica, unfortunately, I don't know why, but there's a lot of mothers like that that would just let that crap happen.
Yeah. Jill said, question for Jen. What was the attraction to Stefan? Name three things.
Good point.
That's a good one.
What really was the attraction?
With what Bazard just said, maybe why she missed school and was told by a friend. Yeah, and she knew that Madeline was like having trouble. They talk about a lot of sleepy days and things like that. So I don't know. I would say why were you still letting her go up there to sleep with him? But then she does say, I mean, not to defend Satan or anything, but
Hmm.
in the text messages she says make sure she goes to bed right now, as if she knew it was a problem, and so she was trying to make sure she was going to bed. But I don't. 11 o'clock still late in my opinion.
Well, that's the crazy thing with when I was looking over the derivative videos that Nishi was putting out, and it's like the state prosecutor guy was asking her like questions like that, like, is it normal for Maddie to be staying up for hours and things like that if she has school night? And then Jen is like, just like, I don't know, I guess maybe. And then she does a little quiet moments. I'm like, oh my god, I'm just rubbing my hands over the place because I'm so annoyed. It's like, come on, like that's just weird things to get an answer from someone that you think is involved or something more with the death of their daughter, or maybe a lot more than that, and it's like that's all she can come up with. I don't know, maybe sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna change this, guys. Okay, I'm gonna change this now and ask you a question like this. Okay. Now, let's think about Stefan being, where he's at right now, right? So, if you could ask him a question, now you have to keep in mind number one, you would be talking to him while he's in prison and supposed to go to court for these charges. So, you can't ask him anything to do with court. You can't ask him anything that's going to get him in trouble. Like, you can't, I don't know what would get in trouble if you were going to email somebody or emailing him or whatever.
Hmm.
But, like, you can't, you have to, if he talks about court, well, obviously he wouldn't talk about court because that could mess up his case. What would be like, what are some ways you could ask some questions to try to get information without asking them bluntly?
Hmm.
And what would they be?
That is a
And the same thing for Jen,
hmm.
because, they can't talk about the case, right? So, what would be your questions like that?
That's
Even,
a good. Yeah, that's a good point. I'll have to think on that one for a little bit because then
yeah.
it would almost be like I just ask him like, okay, like, hmm. I'll have to think on that one because then my I
Yeah.
guess my main thing would have been like, why did you do it? But I guess one question I'll ask him would be, how long did it take Jen to ask you out to be her boyfriend? Because I don't believe the initial story that it took her a year. I think it was probably a lot shorter when he found out that she had a kid. But I guess I would ask him like, well, how long did it really take for you to interact with Jen and decide to be in a relationship with her?
Okay, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how thing going around? If you love Maddie so much, why didn't you protect her? That's a good question. I mean, but he's protecting her from who? Himself? But that's a good question. I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Tom said, "How are the cold green bologna sandwiches in jail?" I like that one.
Ooh.
I like that.
Oh, I guess this would be another question. Well, then he probably wouldn't answer it because he got in trouble with it. But it was the whole thing with the phone. Like, I guess would it be were you bullied by someone to give that pin information, or did you just do it on your free will?
Oh, I need a see. It's gonna be a minute before I can go over that. I'm thinking about jumping over to Grizzly and seeing if we can go over that. But I haven't talked to her. I could fair use it, but
Mm-hmm.
we should talk about that. How's your relationship with your parents after your daughter's passing? Is it the same or has it changed? That's a good question.
Good. That's a good one.
Yeah, their favorite Pokemon. Why are you so disconnected from Maddie? Didn't even pretend to look for her at all? Okay.
Oh, I
Why
get. Oh,
not?
I would say another question would be, okay, Stinky. So you're saying that you're going to take her to the school. Why did you wake up so early then to where she denied to go to the McDonald's, but then you couldn't just wait with her the closer time from to drop her off at the school? Or at least if you were going to drop her off a little further away from the school, why didn't you wait until it was like maybe 30 minutes or whatever until class started? Because she could walk all the way over there. Why did you have to wait that long to do all this crap?
Why drop her off so early? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Hmm. When you could have just waited until, even if she didn't want, she said she didn't want to get dropped off. Well, wait a minute. You were driving. I'm brain farting. So you were driving your new car. Why couldn't you just drop her off at the school? That's what I was going to say. Because I forgot that he wasn't driving the so-called hoopy car.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, so let's jump. Hold on. Oh, I set my phone up here. All right, I'm gonna try to pull up the Grizzly video so that everybody understands what we're referencing with the pin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to drop her link in chat to the video. If you have not subscribed to Grizzly True Crime, which I know all of y'all are.
That's an
Um,
interesting point, Rachel.
if you guys have not subscribed to Grizzly True Crime, please make sure you do. I'm going to grab her link. Hopefully she won't get mad if we go over this. It's been out for, I think, over a day now, so
Mm-hmm.
hopefully she won't get mad. What did Rachel say?
It says I just heard of the person
Oh,
that the pin he used is their girlfriend was sending SS the food.
yeah, I heard that too. Why do you lie so much with this with this we that I saw her, she had a great time at the party, etc.? That's a good question.
Uh, mm, good point.
Mercedes said, to get people like him to talk, you have to come off that you're just like him. You'd have to gradually drop comments about your own experience, create the illusion that you totally understand him.
Yeah,
Yes.
unfortunately.
Boom, 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 bop, bam.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, it's fine.
But
Yeah.
yes.
You would have to, unfortunately.
Lisa Lynn said, I would ask, what was your childhood like? Did you get in trouble frequently? Were you the kid no one liked? Best way I could put it into words. That's a good question.
I can only imagine what he would say too.
Sorry, I was writing that down. Okay, so let's talk about. Let me see. I'm so scatterbrained today. I had an appointment this morning, so maybe that's why I had a lot going. I've had a lot going on, and then I was so stressed out about this dang appointment that I had been up since Mr. Speculating left to go to work at 4:30. So I took a nap for a few minutes.
Well, I'm about to say you have a better excuse than Jen did
Right?
with her so-called appointment. Yeah.
So yeah, then I got up at like 1:23 and we go live at 1:30 and so maybe that's hold on, it's gonna echo. So maybe that's why I'm so scatterbrained, but I do sincerely apologize.
It's all good. Been there, done that.
Lordy Jesus. Trying to pin the comment. Okay, so I pinned Grizzly's link to this video, and we're gonna watch this, and then there's a short that
Oh my, it looks like Stephan's.
that we go into on she gives us more information through a short. Let me see what y'all are saying. I think she never actually checked in, only when she was a baby, because she got attention. You know, are you talking about well, I thought you were for some reason I thought you were talking about Jen checking on Maddie. Like, do you think that Maddie her having Maddie and being so attentive when Maddie was young was because Jen got attention from that.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then as Maddie got older, she didn't get the attention that she was, and so she kind of pushed her out of the way, was jealous of her, whatever.
I can definitely see that. Jen, she comes off as that type of woman that was like, "Oh, this is my baby. Look at my baby. Isn't she?
Yeah.
Oh, he's so cute."
Yeah. That's a good question, Blue. Yeah, such great questions and comments, everybody. Thank you. I do appreciate it, and thank you, Jenny, for saying that.
Love you, Jenny.
Jenny's so awesome. All of the mods are. I really appreciate y'all.
You really are.
I think so, Veronica. Oh, well, it was in his book bag. I don't know, but you know, wow, what a point. Yeah, because why would he even bring it there? Like, it shouldn't be there. I know he kept it in his book bag, but you knew you were going to see Maddie, so why are you taking that cream with you? I think he's set at like schools and playgrounds and God only knows what.
Yeah, I was like, Maddie was his obsession, but I mean, like I said, he had other material of children, so I wouldn't be surprised if whenever he wasn't around, he had to find something to kick his joys.
Yeah, that's concerning. Me too, Belladonna.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is Grizzly True Crime. She got jail records for Sephan Sterns. I have submitted to get them, but I don't. It'll be like a month before I get them. If you have not subscribed to her, please do so. I pinned her link at the top in the comments section, and I'm about to add it to my description box. Hopefully she won't get upset, but we're going to see what she found with the jail records that she just got. So again, this is Grizzly True Crime.
Oh my, it looks like Sephan Sterns has been found guilty of doing something naughty in jail. So we're going to go over that today and the rest of his most recent jail records, as well as some other updates. Welcome back to another episode of Grizzly True Crime. My name is Gisela K, and we are deep diving Madeline Soto's case.
Please note that this content is for adults only. Viewer discretion advised.
If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe, like, and share.
Oh, hold on. I have to mute that. Okay, I just added her to the description as well. She's really good. I like her. You like her snark. Oh, why leave it out? Oh, hold on. Why leave it out for everyone to see? I think he was trying to hide it in the book bag.
Mm-hmm.
But the police pulled it out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You have a question? Okay. All right, let me unmute this.
To remind you who this guy is. So, the state of Florida versus Sephan Michael Sterns. He is a 39-year-old male. Yes, he turned 39 on April 25th of 2025. That was just 2 days after his most recent court hearing. If you missed the court hearing, it is linked in the description box below for you, as well as it's on the playlist, of course. And if you don't have 3 hours to watch the entire court hearing, which had some terrible audio, especially in the beginning from the court feed,
sure
but we
did.
are grateful that we got to see it anyway.
Sephan Sterns, Sterns.
Then I actually did a summary video for you, which is this presentation. So I'm not going to go over all of this now. I just wanted to do a quick recap of who this guy is and when his trials are. So he is accused of sexually abusing and murdering Jen Soto, who had just turned 13 when she was strangled. He faces 2 trials and the death penalty if convicted. Now, for many of you who may not have caught up yet, his trial was set to start on May 5th of 2025, but now it's been postponed to July 14th of 2025, and that's the CSAM related charges trial.
So I find it weird that his attorney goes in the day before this hearing and tries to move the trial on evidence that she can't release and is denied in that, but then the very next day he moves the trial anyway. I think that he's like, obviously, well, no, I can't move the trial on the grounds that you told me because you haven't told me why you want to move the trial. But he's trying to throw her a bone, basically, so he does so in the next trial.
That's what I think. The judge just wants to give it to look like, okay, look, I will go over the motions that you were talking about, and then I'll let you guys know this trial is still going to happen this year, at the very least. That's what to me it sounds like. Now the homicide one, I don't think it's going to be this year. I kind of agree with Jay, and I think it's going to be possibly next year. I just don't know when. But I think the judge, he wants the CSAM trial this year.
Yeah, I don't think they'll move the CSAM trial again, but I do have questions about the homicide trial. I think it could be moved.
Mm-hmm.
But if it is moved to next year, I would think it would be the very beginning, like January, possibly February.
Something like that, yeah, or March, at least somewhat early in the year.
Yeah. Belladonna said, did I in a PCFP, I don't know that PCFP video here, Sephan Sterns' mom say Jen has an ankle bracelet and wanted to get him one. I remember hearing that. I can't understand her. I don't like her, so I automatically try to block her out. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I think she said Jen has an ankle bracelet and she wants Sephan to have one too so he can be out of jail. Or it sounded like that's what she said because I remember what you're talking about and I was like, that's interesting that Jen has an ankle bracelet. So yeah, I do remember that, and I don't know. I think that considering the different charges and that but then witnesses that aren't in trouble for anything, like let's run the scenario that she does have an ankle bracelet, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're just a witness that's testifying against somebody, I think they would keep tabs on you, but not to the extent of you have an ankle monitor on. I suppose it could happen, but I don't see it being very likely. Now, if you are a witness and you're involved in the crime and you've been charged with something, it makes sense that you would have an ankle bracelet on. So I don't know. That's a weird thing for me.
It'll be like, okay, you're not charged with being part of the murder, but we still don't trust you, so we're still going to put an ankle monitor on you.
Yeah. Is there one right now, LJ? I'm gonna check the court website. I saw again that somebody called. I obviously am not gonna be reading people's phone numbers out, but to the person that called, I apologize for missing your phone call. Um, and I appreciate y'all being patient with me as I figure out this whole call-in thing. It's very, very new for me.
I was gonna say Gersh had Grish. I keep saying, is it Grish? I always mess up.
I
Grish was have. Mhm.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I say Grish.
Oh, Grish was having the same issue too. Because I actually went on his first car show a few days,
Hmm.
well, several days ago, and it was just, yeah, you'll get the hang of it once you get the hang of it.
Yeah, yeah. I think it'll just take me a minute to get the hang of it. I'm looking, and all I see is the three corrected are most recent, and that was the 29th. I will check the other case real quick. Ah, okay. So while I do that, I'm gonna play Grizzly again. Jen said, I think it's a statement Deb made. The statement was, why doesn't Jen have an ankle monitor? You're probably right. Jen is most of the time on top of it with the information. I could have misheard it. So I would go with what Jen said before what I thought.
I mean,
Um,
it makes sense that Deborah would say that. So
mm-hmm. Boomer said, I find it interesting that Deb is communicating with another content creator. I do too, especially saying that I thought she said she regretted going on Hidden True Crime. I thought I heard that somewhere, but I'm not sure.
yeah, I've seen some of the videos about what supposedly that her. I think it was mostly maybe towards geared towards her, but Chris may have been involved too. But it seems more like Deb was the one supposedly answering the questions, and then I saw what Gersh was saying about it, and I kind of agree with him that I just don't personally trust the Stern parents, and I get what he was saying that it's funny how she would say, well, she would talk shit about YouTube creators, but then wants to go to maybe some of them to try to put out her viewpoints or take of what's going on to benefit maybe her in. But I just, like I said, I don't trust her, so I don't trust both of them.
I don't either. I think that they could very possibly be playing, let me fix my public personification real
Mm-hmm.
quick. If that's what's going on, I think that would be why. Oh my gosh, bad girl. Good gracious, thank you. That was so sweet of you. Oh my gosh, thank you so very much. Bad Girl said, no matter what's going on around this case, let's not forget Maddie is the victim and we're fighting for her justice. Rest easy, Maddie. Amen to that.
You're right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely right.
we are. That was so sweet of you, Bad Girl. Thank you so much. Yeah, at the end of the day, I hope that Maddie's looking down and, I mean, I've said this about a couple of cases. Elijah Vu comes to mind. We might not have known their names while they were alive, but
Mm-hmm.
in their deaths and things that happened around them, their names are known worldwide now. I mean, Grizzly's overseas, as you can tell by her lovely accent. Um, it's sad that in death they had to be notarized, but even though it is in death, the whole world knows their name, their story, and who they are, and is praying and trying to do what we can to get her justice, and that's the way we have to look at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, the classic one says Sephan Sterns' mom did the same, talk trash about YouTube, then go on YouTube to talk about the case. Yep.
She can't make up her mind.
No, it doesn't surprise me though. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Trial CSAM, for those of you who don't know, stands for Child Sexual Abuse Material, and he has 60 counts of those charges, each count representing 10 or more images and videos of the victim, in this case, Madeline Soto. There is also a USB drive that they found with 35,000 pictures and videos CSAM related, but he hasn't been charged with that at all yet. I really do hope that in the future he will be charged with that. That was found in his dad's storage room, and that was in April of 2024. So maybe the state just decided, you know what, that's going to be difficult to prove that that was him or that was his, whereas all the evidence that they found on his phone is obviously much easier to prosecute. However,
See, I'm with her on that. I'm thinking a lot of people have asked because we're talking about these motions being suppressed if they possibly are, and people have said if these motions are suppressed and they can't get him on the C-SAM for Maddie, would they not still go after him for the 35,000 images of other children? And my thought process on that is with the videos and images of Madeline, they can prove definitively, more than likely, that it's definitely him. With the other images and things, it would be hard because he's more than likely is not in those pictures or videos. It's things that were sent to him. And then she brought up another good point with it being found in the storage unit or storage facility or wherever it was, that there could be a question as to whose it actually belonged to.
Well, because I mean, it would be so messed up, but I wouldn't be shocked if the defense would say, "Well, what if his dad was involved?" I mean, we already have theories about that. Like, at least did Chris maybe not admittedly knew that his son was I'll say PDF file, but yeah, like he somehow was involved in the sense of like when they found all these images. Like I don't know. I mean, they could go in that route.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would have been like, I don't think his dad was a pedophile. I think his dad,
I
from
don't
what it
either.
sounds like, liked women. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. I think I think he might have been very fond of lots of different women. Not a lot, but like
Yeah.
from the divorce papers and the fact that he possibly cheated, I think that he was very fond of women, but I don't think anything else. Okay, I will look at that. All right.
However, there's been a couple of arguments, of course, from the defense. They're trying to get all that evidence thrown out based on how they got the information off his phone. So if you didn't see the summary, then go and check it out because I explain all of that, right? So the next trial will be on September 22nd of 2025, and that is the homicide trial. And if convicted there, he faces the death penalty. Let me just quickly also update you on what the judge is deciding at the moment. So there was a hearing 2 days before his birthday, and as you can see, he got a new haircut that is on the jail records as well. We're going to see exactly when he got that haircut. So the judge is going to rule on all the motions that were argued by June 30th of 2025. And again, the trial date was for May 5th, and now it's set for July 14th. And there is a pre-trial hearing set for July 2nd. So that's the next most important date for us to look out for, is July 2nd of 2025. All right, are you ready to get into the jail records? Because I am. Okay, so Osceola County Corrections Department inmate disciplinary report checklist for Sephan Sterns, and there's his ID number, which is public record just for YouTube. Okay, that's a YouTube disclaimer. I'm not sharing anything that I'm not supposed to be sharing. So if we scroll down, as I showed you in the beginning, it says the following items shall be completed by the disciplinary hearing officer.
Genevieve, yeah, you can come up. You don't have to ask. Let me drop the link again because I've got Grizzly pinned right now, so you guys could subscribe to her if you haven't done so. Scrap Owl, good to see you. Stephen can absolutely move Maddie by himself. That day there is camera footage in the covered parking structure of him carrying her out of the front seat of the car and putting her into the trunk. That is a good point. He did. They do have image of him moving her to the trunk of the car at the parking garage. That's a good point that I didn't even think about.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely could do that. I was just thinking like what the Nietzsche was saying, that maybe initially Jen was involved in getting her dress and then being a lookout. But I mean, then again, we don't know exactly. Well, they know what time he went out to carry, I guess, her body to the car. I guess they have. Do they have that footage of that, or they just
Yes.
estimate? Oh, okay. So they have that at a townhouse place, not at the
No, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. At the parking garage, they have video footage of him moving her from the front seat to the trunk of the car by
Okay.
himself.
So yeah, I was just going with what the Nietzsche thing was like. Well, maybe Jen. That was what Nietzsche was saying. That maybe Jen was like the lookout at the townhouse area, because I'm assuming the people were probably maybe out and about early in the morning, and He just seems like a chicken shit to do all that by himself.
Yeah,
He was a chicken shit.
he was. Belladonna said that's after rigor mortis left, and I do believe I'd have to pull up the document, so don't quote me on this, but I do believe they say that she was limp, so it would make me think that it was after rigor mortis left. Because we've talked about that as far as the timeline goes of her being deceased, because the DNA paperwork said her time of death or date of death was was that Sunday. And so we've run scenarios where we're trying to figure out when, judging by rigor mortis and where we know rigor mortis was present and was not present, when would her time of death be? And I'm pretty positive that they state when she's moved to the trunk, she was, rigor mortis wasn't present, but I could be wrong. Genevieve, good to see you, love. I'm glad you
Hey,
came up.
hey.
Before you let Grizz roll again, keep something in mind. With all those jailhouse phone calls, and you hear the tone of his dad talking, and then you go back and recap all of the images shared from social media, his involvement with the younger girl when he was in school and out of school, in and out of college. You start piecing all those puzzles together. You know dang well they knew that he had a pederast in.
You said,
So they were just in denial about all of Stephen's actions and activities and his elusive behaviors. They knew what he was, and they've been knowing what he was for years. They just wanted to make excuses and stay in denial about it.
so, okay, tell me what you're referencing as far as them knowing. You cut out, so I
The,
don't think we heard you.
the younger girlfriend that he had years ago, and all the images that he had then, and then Dad and Mom both referenced in what Stephen was wanting them to look for in his room. You know darn well that they come across more information to support anyone's theories on him having pederast interest or pedophilic interest, because you don't have to be a pederast. You just have to be searching for that younger appeal. You don't have to go after the little bitty one. So that could
Yeah.
be, so with being a pederast or having pedophilic interest does not mean that they all act upon it. It just means that they display in their behaviors their interest. So that's why a lot of older men go after younger women. They don't want to be labeled a pedophile, but they have those pederast interests. And I'm thinking that Stephen had an exploratory behavior and was exposing himself with having those exploratory behaviors. They absolutely knew what this man was, even when he was possibly a young boy.
Yeah, so my thought process is, having a younger girlfriend, I mean, I wouldn't think too much of it considering they were in high school, but then when you think about the peeping, I mean, I think it was peeping Tom stuff on the roommate's computer. And I mean, if we want to go with Dad didn't know anything until he found the USB drive and looked at it. I mean, did they? I guess they were hands off. I mean, but they weren't hands off parents. You know that his mama went in and looked at his shit and found the torso and found the pornography magazines and all of the things. So I would say allegedly, in my opinion, I think there was definitely signs, and I think they saw them. There is a possibility they didn't, but I don't think, considering how his mother is with him and how hands on and all of that she is, I think that yeah, I can agree with you.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, Jen, because I've always, like I said, I've always think that he definitely was a child predator when he was at least a teenager, at the very least. So there had to have been some weird signs and inconsistencies that maybe Deb saw when Chris wasn't around, since we know he wasn't around all the time that much. So I feel like maybe Deb at least probably knew a lot more and didn't want to say nothing about it.
Yeah,
Well, they're in denial. They're precious little boy. How could anybody hurt your feelings and lock you up?
yeah,
That's the gross part.
Mm-hmm.
yep. I'm with Bad Girl. I think they're on two different planets when it comes to Stefan,
Mm-hmm.
and Hound Lover, good to see you, said that there is a reason Sephan Sterns' older brother wants absolutely nothing to do with him. I heard he even changed his name. And I think that that plays a role because of how, okay, when we talk about Chris being kind of hands off and not as involved as Deb was, I think maybe Chris and the older brother noticed some things that they didn't like about Stefan, especially, he's not going to get a job. The older brother moved out and changed his damn name to get away from all of it. I think Chris
Hmm.
was fed up with it, in my opinion, allegedly, in my opinion. Um, and Deb was just hands on and, like you said, oh, nobody can hurt my baby, all of the things.
So that's why I think. Well, then that kind of makes you think. Okay, if Deb knew, this is all speculating theories and everything, but if Deb knew that her son, even by at least by his teenage years, was bizarre when it comes to younger girls, is it in her warped mind that she was like, no, I can't have this coming out because it'll show like my bad parenting. I already have issues with my older son who doesn't want to do nothing with me. My relationship with my husband is pretty much almost dead. And does it come off like Deb wanted to keep the so-called American family image?
I mean, talking about Deb specifically and Chris Sturz, I think that they're very much about their public image. I think that's why they came on YouTube and that why they are allegedly speaking to somebody else now. I think they want to clear that image up. Even Chris has talked about if you didn't do this, you need to say something. If not for yourself, then for the family. I think very
Mm,
much. And they sold real estate. They were in the country clubs because that's where some of the pictures come from. Hell yes, they are very
mm.
much about their public image and wanting to make sure it's
Absolutely. It's
it's
all
not
about
tarnished.
vanity.
Yep, vanity.
And those are sometimes I consider the scariest people where, yes, you have like the murderer or serial killer, or in this case, a child predator. Fuck you, Stearns. But I always feel that it's the people that enable them are really the scariest in some ways too, because you know it, you just don't say nothing. You don't care that your son, daughter, whoever that you know of is going to commit crimes, and you just don't care.
Well,
Yeah,
Deb puts off those mommy vibes from several of those movies that we've watched. And can I say a movie name?
yeah.
Hmm.
I Sit on Your Grave Part 2 comes to mind.
Oh, I spit on your. Oh, that movie.
Classic. I'm a
Yeah,
horror guy, so I love horror
yeah,
movies.
Because in that movie where they're doing the trafficking and they take her over there, didn't it come to find out that the woman that went to the police station and recaptured her and carried her back, wasn't she the mother of one of the ones that kidnapped her in the first place? That's the kind of image I get when I listen to Deb talk about stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
can see it.
see. Hmm.
Okay, I could be. I like horror movies too. That's the one that was made in the 70s, if I remember correctly, and it was so graphic they removed it from theaters. So that
The
was why
first
I
one,
wanted.
yeah.
Yeah, and it was about a girl who is visiting. She's out in the woods on a lake or something, and like doing a vacation, and then two guys come up and horrifically assault her and leave her
Oh,
for
honey, it was
dead.
the sheriff too.
Yeah, it's been a while since I watched it, but yeah, they assault her and leave her for dead, but she's not dead, and she comes and she tries to take them all out, and then that goes into where she goes to the police station, and it happens again, all of the things. That's that movie, right?
Well, that and the
Yes,
same
and then
trip.
they did.
Well, I was about to say the last house on the left is the very same thing. It's literally they came out around the same era, the 70s, and it's literally the same kind of concept. The last house on the left, where it was like two young girls get attacked. The attackers get injured and then go to a house where the house is actually one of the parents where one of the girls live, and then the parents find out and they basically kill the attackers.
Yeah, that's a good movie. Last House on the Left. I Spit on Your Grave and I Spit on Your Grave Part 2. That's the movie they took out of theaters in the 70s because it was too graphic, and it's about
Well,
that. And
they remade them.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
the remakes are pretty good
They
actually.
they are, and it's the remake of I Spit on Your Grave Part 2 and 3 that I'm talking about, because Jennifer Hill is the main character in the story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen part 2 and 3. I need to watch them. Hey, Carolina. I, s- I, oh, here we go. I started 2 comments. Okay, so Belladonna said, did they really take Stephen Stern's book collection they had bought? If I had to guess, I would say probably not. I know a lot of people say they aren't supporting him. I tend to think they are still supporting him, but
Oh
maybe
yeah.
not so publicly. That's just my thought on that. And then Blue Sapphire said, I have a question for Jen and Stephen. Why did no one in Jen's family like Stearns? That's a great question.
Yeah, I wonder what he would say. Oh, I don't know. They don't like me, I guess, or something.
Well, I mean, the mom didn't like him. I mean, she makes it very clear that she didn't like him. He wasn't allowed at the birthday party. So why? I think she says that he wouldn't keep a job, but that's I mean, I don't think that's necessarily a reason to not even let him in your house personally. So there's more to
He's
it.
a
They
map
got
mooch.
He's a what?
A map mooch. A mooch.
Mm-hmm. A
And that
That's
lazy
what
ass.
they do. They go around and they grift and they bum and they mooch off of people just to have access to children.
Yeah.
Now, see, I always did wonder. I always had the feeling that I always fuck up her name, Lolanda. Thank you. I always figured that she was always been a bane in Jen's life in some ways because of their issues between each other. But it was like I feel that Jen probably didn't want Mad to go see Lolanda a lot because of the whole situation where she didn't like Stearns. But then also I think Lolanda was probably saying so much, and I agree with what Grish was saying, and because I used to live around Hispanic people, that a lot of times, yeah, if the mom doesn't like you about your own child because of certain reasons, then there's always an issue between the parent and the child. But I always thought that was interesting that I keep forgetting her name, Lolanda. Thank you. How she was just so the catalyst, at least on her side of the family, that didn't like him, and then everyone else kind of went along with it, you know. But then Jen, to me, it seems like she just tried to stay away from her family, mostly because of her mom, I think.
Yeah. He does. He steals he did steal from people. Yeah, that's probably. Yeah, Mercedes, anybody can come up. I've dropped the link again.
That's another thing that drives me crazy. That in the my favorite detective that did the video interview of Jen, it was like she said it like, "Oh, I trusted him, but then, oh yeah, he did lie and steal money from his parents, but I thought I could trust him." And then the detective was like, "Wait a minute, you told me too many different stories. You tell me now that you didn't trust him, but then you do trust him, but then you tell me that he steals from his mom and dad. What is it, Jen?"
Oh yeah, that my theory on that is the only reason that you would know he stole from his parents who support him and everything that he does, which is nothing, and then think that he wouldn't steal from you is because you had something big on him. And I think
Mm,
it was the abuse of your daughter. That's
yeah,
just my thought on that because
yeah,
there's absolutely no reason for you to think that if he steals from them, he would never do that to you unless you had something big on him and he trusted you with some information that you knew could put him in prison for a very long time, if not the rest of his life. And again, I mean, the Woody Allen comment, it tells me everything I need to know, allegedly
yeah,
speculating.
yeah.
That I think that he told her 100% and she condoned it for whatever reason. That's
Yep,
my
yep.
opinion. Trailgazer said, I think Jen's
Well,
family didn't like Stephen because they didn't approve of certain things about Jen. When Stephen came along, he was a big loser who enabled the worst in Jen. That's a good point.
that's what I was
Mm-hmm.
about to say. Didn't they have a conversation when they went over there to visit or went there to stay about Madeline sleeping with them or something to that capacity, and that Deb had made the comment that it wasn't right for a child that age to still be sleeping with their parents?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Deb did say that, supposedly to
Yeah,
them.
supposedly, Deb, you said that.
Well, she may have. She may very well have. I mean, if she's been dealing with Stefan's behaviors for all these years, she may have been a protective mom, but she's not done.
Right.
Maybe
Hey,
she said that because she didn't want something to come out. Maybe that's why she said that.
hey, Cozy,
And,
how are you?
and she said that
I'm
she loved
great.
Madeline.
Yeah.
Hi, Cozy.
Hey, how you guys been?
Good.
Excuse me. Yeah, good. Good to see you.
Yeah, I've been kind of avoiding most cases except for Madeline Soto and Lori Vallow.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Oh,
look at all the things you've been posting. I'm like, no, I can't deal with that. Mental health.
Oh, yeah. The Victoria. Oh, hey, Mercedes. The Victoria Martins case is horrific.
Oof, I don't even know. Like, I tried even watching the Karen Reed, and it's such a circus that I can't even keep up with that. But yeah,
Yeah.
um, we're talking about the parents. Of course, you can. Okay, I'm not a parent, but I mean, anecdotal evidence, right? Like, you can raise your child the best you can, and your child can grow up to be a piece of crap.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen people with like that come from abusive uh, households and families. Like, I have a friend, he saw his dad set his mom on fire. Like, that's you know what I mean? Like, that's how bad it was. And he turned out to be a good person. You know what I mean? As far as I know, of course, I don't live with him unless you live with a person you don't know. But, you know, the apple doesn't far too. Oh, jeez, I can't talk. The apple doesn't fall too far from the apple tree. But I can't imagine. I'm not defending the Stearns or anything, but I can't imagine how hard it must be to find out that your son or your daughter did something this horrible to a child, to anyone. Never mind a child. It's like, I can't imagine how hard it must be to have anyone in your family like, oh yeah, my mom killed my dad. My dad killed my mom. Like, you know what I mean? Like, my sister, my brother killed our parents. I can't even imagine the kind of trauma and disconnect that causes in your brain.
Yeah.
But I was talking about this with mom the other day, and I told her, like, I wouldn't visit any of my relatives in jail, in prison, if it turns out they did something horrible. I told my mom, I might visit you. I might visit you depending on what you did, but you know what I mean? But the way dad talks, like, you can tell the father is just kind of like on those jail phone calls where he's like, so what happened that night? Where were you? He's like prying for information. And the mom is like, oh my goodness, you're so traumatized. Like, that you need therapy because you saw a dead body. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like, I know it can't be easy. I'm not bringing that situation, but I know it must be the hardest thing in the world to see, like, oh, my son did this to a child, and he did ABC to a child, and now this child is dead, and he's abusing her for years. But and I think a part of you still loves that your child because they're your child, but then the other part of you is like, yeah, but he did this horrible thing. So I mean, what she's doing defending him isn't right. That's conclusion.
Great point. And I think I've always said to myself and other people, at the very least, that if my kid did something like this, unfortunately, because of dealing with the issues of relatives that were abused and just knowing that, I would disown them.
Yeah.
And it would suck, but I can't have that on my soul. Growing up and knowing what happened to certain people in my family, they had the same sort of unfortunate situation going on with them. But luckily, they're still here alive. But unfortunately, just knowing that you decided to take the life of a child, along with doing what you did to them, I can't. I would disown you, and I would never see you
Yeah.
again.
Right.
Yeah.
Not in this
I
capacity.
wouldn't visit
No,
them in
not in the
prison.
capacity of losing life. No, I couldn't do it either. Now, if it had been like a vehicular accident or something to that capacity, or
Mhm.
you defending your home and accidentally off the child in that capacity, it'd be a whole different level of acceptance and support. But
Mhm.
this case is just no, not when you end a child's life and at the level that this was.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
agree. I would
Yeah.
not support
Hey,
And
Mercedes. How are
the
you?
way she
Hey,
talks, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're
no,
okay, sweetheart.
I was just listening. I just have such a hard time when people sort of downplay his parents' I guess knowledge. Like
Mhm.
I would be to me it's surprising that they're surprised that this happened because he is so dysfunctional but he is their creation. Like he has been infantilized his entire life. He can do nothing for himself. Like
Right.
even his vocabulary, it shows like just how much time he spent like with his mother. Because the words that he uses, they're all like words that like
Kids use.
people of his parents' generation would use, like
Yeah.
meandering and janky tire, and they're all like Sesame Street words. So to me, that shows me like, man, the level of emotional incest between mother and son is what created this. So,
That's
you know, when
yeah.
I see like, when I listen to the jail interviews and the father is there, but we forget he's there because he barely talks. So it's like, yeah, this story didn't start with Stinky. This story started long before him. And
Yep.
I would love to know the older brother's version of what his childhood was like. Because when he left and he decided to cut them off, like Stefan was still pretty young. So, you know, he was just an annoying kid. He wasn't a criminal yet. So the older brother's decision had to have come from the treatment he was receiving at home from his parents. So that the dysfunction didn't start with Stefan. It started long before that.
Yeah.
And that's where this whole story, like, that's where it started.
That's a
So-
great point.
I was gonna say this is kind of sidetrack, but I'm into locales, and maybe some of you know what that is and all that about. But there's a very infamous locale who had a criminal situation on their end called Chris Chan, and it's
Yes.
there you go.
Absolutely.
Then you
I
know,
have said that so many times. This is like another version of Chris Chan, only like a little bit more sane. But when you compare the parallels, it's like, oh Lord, like this, like
it's like with Chris Chan. It's a rabbit hole with that, but it's very similar with how his older brother was years
Yep.
older than him. He
Uh-huh.
left his family because of the situation between the mother and the father. And then when you have Chris and this with the shit that went down with that,
yeah,
it explains so much why, okay, unfortunately, the life that Chris is living now was almost what's going to happen. Now with Stinky, I think that there were signs that they probably noticed some weird. I mean, if you're gonna go by what the roommate said, the one that said, "Oh, Deb paid them off," but one of the people that supposedly found some child material stuff and they paid them off. It was like if that's true, then there's years of them, at least maybe like I said, Deb knowing some weird shit was going on with her son. She didn't want to mention anything about it. Chris was doing whatever he was doing. And it's just a ticking time bomb, unfortunately, that they are, I can't say fully responsible, but it's like you had the responsibility of like checking on your son and just noticing weird shit about him, but you didn't do
oh yeah,
nothing.
they noticed. They noticed like since he was little. Like I don't know about the story about the roommates, but there's always an element of truth to all lies. So they might have turned that story a little bit, but yeah, no, I believe the parents were told, were warned at some point by the people that were hanging out with Stefan that like, hey, like, yeah, he did this, he did that, or you know, like his parents knew. You know the child that you raise, like
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah.
his parents knew.
You start to see the proclivities and the things that they like to do, you know? And that's
Yes.
what happens when I don't have kids, but I mean, I'm a human being, you know, I observe. When you raise a child and they grow up without consequences, that's all the crazy crap that we see going on today, like influencers who think they're entitled to everything. You know, these Karens that act up in the airport, and you know what I mean? You know what I mean? That's people. I mean, like I said, you can raise the child as best as you can, and the child can still decide they want to be a piece of crap when they grow up, and vice versa. But that's like an exception to the rule. If you have a kid and your kid does something wrong, and instead of you punishing your child so they understand the consequence of their actions, you go and pay them off and pay their debt, or they get in trouble in school and you go fight the teacher instead of teaching your child, you're raising a criminal. Yeah,
Exactly.
you're raising a criminal, and yeah, can your grown children still surprise you? I mean, up to an extent, but you're like, yeah, we kind of, you know something. Come on, you live in the same house. You know something. And mothers, like women, men have intuition too. But it's just like women were more in tune with our intuition for whatever reason. Maybe it's social, I don't know. But I mean, yeah, men are not idiots. Like society likes to portray men like dumbasses, but they're not idiots,
I
right?
appreciate
We
that,
all
Cozy.
no, yeah, because like if you watch like Simpsons and like Family Guy, they try to paint the father like an idiot. Like, stop doing that. Not all men are idiots. There are good men, there are terrible women. So,
Hmm.
but we are really in tune to our intuition. Like, let's say men's talent is logic, and women's talent is intuition. They're two different kinds of intelligences, and we all have a little bit of both. Anyhow, what was I saying? Right. And mothers are even more in tune, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure all of you here that have children, you can even I'm sure you can you even we there's even like telepathy between parents and their children to an
Yeah.
extent.
I could
Like,
attest to
you
that.
know your kid is suffering. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And like, oh my goodness, this completely caught me off guard. I had no idea that he was into children. Like, really? Really?
Um, yeah, I think like when you mean like telepathy, like I think I wanted to reiterate on that. I think what you're talking about is like how you can look at your kid and tell like when they're
Yeah.
lying, the things
Obviously you
they're
can't read minds
interested in,
exactly. Right.
right? But you know your child,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you can
and
tell
Nobody
stuff.
knows a child better than their mother.
right,
So,
Yeah, yeah.
a woman knows what she's raising, and she also knows like who sleeps in her bed every night. So
Yeah.
Uh,
it enrages me when women are like, "Oh, I had no idea my husband was a child violator." No, I'm sorry. You know exactly who you share a bed with, and you know exactly what kind of child you're raising. And
Yeah.
there's no doubt like they had received many warnings. That's probably why she pulled him out of school and started homeschooling him, because the school was
mm,
like, this little fucker, like there's something wrong with him. Like he's not okay. Like he needs help. So of course his parents are like, "Oh no, he's perfect. It's you guys who are failing. So I'm going to do a better job." So they pull him out and there you go. Like
yeah,
well, then this makes me wonder with the whole Jen situation where it's like, but then I get with what Grish was saying because, like I said, I used to live around Hispanic families and they would still protect, and I'm doing air quotes, protect the black sheep of the family, even if they're like an embarrassment. And it's like, it makes you still wonder why, well, unless, once she gets in the trial, whenever that'll happen, with Jen, gets you on the stand, like,
they
what
protect
are the,
them publicly.
yeah.
They will always stand up for them publicly, but behind closed doors, Jen is not having a fun time right now.
Uh,
Believe me, behind closed doors, that family, like, she is feeling it.
I'm so
She's
happy.
feeling it.
I'm so
No
happy.
doubt.
Yep. It's
yeah.
like, I want her to be horribly
I'm
ashamed.
Spanish. I know.
Okay, so
Like, I'm,
Mercedes. Yeah, yeah,
I'm telling you, no, she's not having a field day, but they will always back her up publicly,
Hmm.
always. But
Hmm. Yeah.
also, like, it's also kind of a situation where, like, they've lost a granddaughter. So what can they do now to save, like, not lose a daughter also?
True.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And I think on
That
some level, like, everybody somewhat involved in the story is reflecting, and they have some regret, they have some guilt. So like each individual person is its own universe. So everybody, everybody is reflecting, and somehow they feel they need to atone for it somehow. Like, but yeah, I think there's a lot of factors that are at play in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
That video that Grish did where he was man, his videos are bomb. I wish he put out one like every other day or something. That one that
Mm-hmm.
he analyzes the body cam video from Yolanda's office when the cops
Yes.
respond. Dude, that man, he should be a detective because he picks up on these like little signals, and I'm sure all of us or most of us here have seen like all the videos, all the interviews like multiple times. And I watch one of his videos and I'm like, whoa. You know how
Yeah.
everybody was, and I noticed that, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I'm like, how come Jen is by herself? How come the mom is not there, like rubbing her shoulder, like hugging her? You know, because if my
Hmm.
niece or granddaughter or something was missing, I would want to be like right there, like
Yep.
physically next to the person,
Yeah.
Y-
you know?
Yeah.
Well,
And I know people are different, but
I
I'm like,
mean, because yeah, like I said, I grew up around. I had really good Hispanic friends and neighbors, and yeah, I would notice that too. Like they'd be really close, but yeah, you can just tell that Jen was the black sheep of their family, and they were just basically shit talking her behind her back, and she knew it.
yeah.
But that just makes me want to dive deeper into that family history
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
I'm Latin and um, I'm generalizing here, but girls are sexualized at a very early age. That's why there's so
Hmm.
many children in Latin America because it is not uncommon to see like 16, 15, 17-year-old girl pregnant with
Hmm.
already one or two kids. So
Yeah.
like I'm really curious about how she grew up. What was she exposed to? What were her experiences? Not that it justifies anything of what she did as a grown up, but I'm really curious about that because I don't believe that um Stefan was the only person violating Maddie. I believe Maddie had probably had other experiences because
Hmm.
most of our families have that weird uncle or that weird cousin that everybody, like all the girls know to stay away from. So
Oh God, I hope
it,
not.
it it's again, like I'm generalizing. This is just from my experience and my observations, but um
No, I
yeah,
can
this
relate. I can relate. This, well,
It's
unfortunately, my
relevant.
family. Yeah.
this story started long before Maddie was even born. So it
I
just
mean,
makes me curious.
Hmm.
yeah, I wondered what the comment meant about I didn't start this. That makes me question a couple of things. Because I truly, I don't think he's blaming Madeline. I don't think that the way he portrayed her and viewed her, he would have blamed her for this. I think he's referencing something else, especially when you take into account he was talking about she did something with a phone when she was really young. I've wondered that myself, like if something happened beforehand or something.
Yeah.
But then it
Yeah.
makes you
Yeah.
think about her ex-husband because he felt very creeped out that why would Jen insist on having a little girl sleep, in the bed with him, and then he has his own daughter and she sleeps in her own room.
To be
So I.
honest, it's not really that uncommon.
Mhm.
And, like with Latinos to have their kids sleeping with them. Like the family bed is a thing. So it's really it's not uncommon. However,
Not
it
until they're 13,
changes.
right?
Sorry?
Not until they're like 13, like Maddie.
Well, I was going with I was going with the ex-husband. I don't, but well, maybe this is a cultural thing.
Yeah,
He
not
was
13.
well, he wasn't Hispanic. He was white, I
No, no,
believe.
right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I was getting at. Like, I think with him, he thought it was weird that she would insist to have Maddie sleep with him in bed when his own daughter had her own room. Well, I'm assuming when they were together, Maddie had her own room and the stepsister had her own room. So I was thinking that was well, now what you're saying was Jen doing a lot of the stuff when she wasn't in a relationship with another man? Oh, when she was,
No, I think the
which.
co-sleeping just started as like it just started when she was young. But then um the older they get, the harder it is to break the cycle, you know?
Mm,
So I think the co-sleeping was just um it just started when she was young, but then it became to a point where like Maddie became codependent on that and she couldn't sleep alone and would somehow like start off in her own bed but then end up in her mom's bed. So
mhm.
I don't know, like I don't know how old she was when um like that husband was around, but
Uh,
yeah,
Was Maddie
13
probably.
is
codependent? Was Maddie codependent or was mommy codependent?
I think
I
they
think
were
it might
both.
be both. It's probably both, but like
Yeah.
when there's like once there's like another person in the bed that is not related to you, that's when like the dynamic has to change. So
Right.
you don't continue co-sleeping with your child when there's a man in there. So like if it was her father,
There's
okay, that's
special,
different.
yeah, there's
But no,
special circumstances to allow a child in your bed at that age. That's if they're sick, if they've had a traumatic experience, something to that capacity. But the other adult male in the house should be respectful enough to say, "You girls handle this. I'm gonna go sleep on the couch."
yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it just was always. I thought it was interesting that he was freaked out about it, and then, but then when I was looking over, like I said earlier in this panel stream, the whole Nishi thing, where it the state the prosecutor was the guy that did the derivative immunity thing was like, well, Jen, were you seeing other people after you supposedly broke up with Stinky? And he said people, and Jen, well, she didn't say how many, but she said yes. So that sounds like she was clearly seeing other people. And I think he was trying to suggest, well, why would you still allow this ex-boyfriend of yours to be in your life when you're seeing other people? And we know that she's bi. So it's like, well, were you seeing, other women? But then why will you let him to come back into your life if you didn't want him anymore?
Yeah, and she said
Yeah.
because they were friends, but I also think Jenna's a little bit delusional, and I think
A
she
little
was
bit.
seeing she was seeing other people, but those other people didn't know that they were seeing her. Like I
Right.
think I don't think it's as like I think she was trying to make herself look a little less of a loser by saying like, no, I wasn't alone. Like, yeah, no, I had other
Yeah.
stuff going on. That's
Yeah. You
that's
know
my
what?
take.
Yeah. Well, like about, I wonder, right? We're all speculating because we don't know, we weren't there. I wonder if maybe, like you said, it's a cultural thing. Some cultures, the kid, and inside each culture is also a family thing, right? You can have like your child sleeping with you for a certain amount of time when they're small or whatever. But I wonder if maybe Jen wasn't really that into guys at all that much, maybe. So
I think
maybe
Jen's
by
medications made her not into anybody. That's what I
yeah,
think.
because
That's what she
medications
claims.
will do that.
Yeah.
Medications
Yeah,
will do that. I used to take
yeah,
medication that just kills you. It turns you into like a zombie, and you're like you don't
yeah.
want to do anything. But I wonder if maybe she kept Maddie in the bed as a way of like, well, we can't do anything because Maddie's sleeping here.
No, I think that it stopped being uh the illusion of a relationship like in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
They had to keep up the appearance to be able to
Mm-hmm.
justify why he was still hanging around. But this was purely business. It was purely money.
Mm-hmm.
Maddie was their cash cow.
Oh,
Whatever
Absolutely.
was going on,
Mm-hmm.
Jen was in on it because Jen needed to be in on it because it's the only way it could have happened.
Yeah.
So there is no way like this was not a romantic relationship to them.
Well, because
So
I'm sorry. Yeah, me and allegedly a while back we're discussing about like I know I said to you allegedly that I don't think they ever really had sex at all. There's just to me it just seems like it was
yeah,
no sexual tension whatsoever. And
no,
Yeah.
maybe
when
tried
he
like once because she did make a comment how his thing was a certain size and they
oh
were
yeah,
comfortable.
so it was like maybe they had sex one time and that was it, and then it was like
yeah.
okay, but
I I mean, I agree with the cash thing because I think that at some point, whenever she found out about the situation, I think honestly that might be when they broke up the first time, but then she let him come back. But I mean, that's still, it had been going on for so long. Anyway, about the cash thing, I think that eventually it became Stefan came to her and was like, "Well, you know that me and Maddie are in this relationship, and
Mm,
when
mm,
she gets older, we're gonna get married. This, that, and the third. Well, I could make a lot of money doing what we're already doing if I just film it and put it on, sell it to people, and we
I
could
think it
make
was her
thousands of
actually.
dollars." You think it was her?
I think it was Jen who came up with that because when he said I didn't start it, like I actually because she plays stupid, but she's not stupid. And she's been to school, she's educated.
Right.
I think she's the one. And her mother is in like a financial field. I think Jen is the one that might have actually come up with that. And then, as time goes on, they fine tune the details. But
mm.
I think initially it was Jen. And it was like, okay, well, like, how can I use this kid to make money, to
yeah.
make money? Like, and how can I still keep him around? Because even though they weren't having sex, I still like she's still. I don't think Jen had a lot of people in her life, like
Yeah.
not friends and definitely not family.
Yep.
So I think
They both seem very codependent.
yes. So
Yeah, and her coworkers even thought she was weird.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I understand what you're saying, and I can agree that I don't think she had very many friends or family. I, I don't see. For some reason, I don't
I don't
see her
think she
being
started
like,
it.
how can I use this child to make money? And I respect your opinion. And you know, yeah, I think that's cool. I think it was more of a, we're already doing this, and I could make a lot of money if we just film it. And she was like, okay, well, since you're already doing this, we might as well make money. And I've always thought that's how that started, if it was going on, and I think it was, honestly.
yeah.
Um, do you?
It's
I
Because
mean, do you think she only saw her for money, or you think that that she
At
was
some
jealous?
yes, as soon as Maddie started becoming a competition, that's how Jen saw her. So as soon as Maddie started developing curves and hair starts glowing, like no, like that's how Jen saw her, as a competition. And it was like I think in the beginning, the like sedating Maddie played a part
Uh
because
huh.
I honestly, like when I think about this, I can't even, like it enrages me so much because how does a grown body part fit into a
Oh,
child's?
yeah.
So how,
Oh,
like it enrages me so
torture.
much because oh my god, like
It's
Yep.
yeah.
but
torture.
so I think in the beginning, yeah, that's where the sedation played a part. But I think as, I guess the body adapts and as she grew, like there was no need for sedation anymore. So I think that's when Jen started seeing her as a competition. And that's when she was like, this isn't a daughter, this is another woman who is competing for my man's attention. So
Yeah.
That's been
yeah,
the
Even
running
But
theory for a
if
lot.
you look at
Go ahead, Jen.
even if you look at the older pictures of her holding Madeline as a baby, she comes off with that persona as being a pageant mom anyway.
Yeah, I could see that. Regina
yeah.
said, why would she be competition if Jen didn't want Stefan? That's a good question.
it
It's
is.
this, well, it's the like the fantasy that, because a lot of these
Yes.
women that do get involved in these like
Yes.
pedophile husband or whatever relationships, yeah, it's like it's the fantasy of like, oh,
Yeah.
he'll still care for me and love me, but then my daughter or son is still this competition, and it's so
Yeah.
crazy bizarre that these people exist like that.
Yeah. It's bizarre because it's like they were in a love relationship that had no love. It was a romantic relationship that had no
Hmm.
love.
Hmm.
She's like, oh, he's my best friend in the entire world. That's a good question, Regina, though, because it's like, yeah, why is it competition? It could be just attention,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
if
Yes.
you
It
think
was just
back
attention. Yeah.
on
Because then
Casey and Janae,
it would be yet
like,
another person who leaves Jen, yet another
yeah,
person who doesn't want to be around her, who wants nothing to do with her. And that's
remember
what
her
Jen,
comment? Like, I don't want this to be another Woody.
Woody
What's his
Allen.
face? Woody Allen. I was gonna say Woody Harrelson. And she goes, "You can't do
Woody
that to
Harrelson.
me." It's like, not
yeah,
you can't do this to my child. You can't do that to me. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's leaving her.
But see, that's the
And
thing that.
remember when
Oh,
Casey
I'm sorry, I
Anthony was
didn't
in
mean to.
prison or was in jail because they were still looking for Kaylee? She got really mad at her mother because she's like, "All you do is talk about Kaylee." So she
Oh
didn't
yeah.
love her daughter clearly because what she did. I don't think anybody here doubts that she offed her own daughter. But
No.
it was like, when you have the baby, everybody's paying attention to you, and then the baby
Hmm.
but then everybody's paying attention. It's like if you have a dog, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to talk to you because you have a dog. You know what I mean? That's like how these people see their kids. It's something to get attention, but now she's old
yeah,
enough. She has her life. She's becoming her own person, and now it's like, wait, you're not paying attention to me anymore because I have a baby. You're just paying attention to the baby.
Yeah.
Well, this
exactly.
this
Yes.
is a this is a question for all the women on panel, and I think I brought this up a while back when it was I can't remember, it was that one case alleged that Was that the one with the mom? Not the latest one with the mom had her baby in the toy shed, but it was another one we watched a while back. And I was just saying, is it something that where some of these women have this weird animalistic kind of thing? Because we see it in nature where the mother animal will kill the baby for or children for whatever reason. But is it like are there certain aspects of the women that do this kind of stuff where you have the women that have their children or babies and then kill them, but then you have the ones that do this where allegedly with Jen, but they were allowed their child to be abused and eventually killed. Is it like almost a very similar thing? Like, what do you ladies think about that? Where you notice these type of women, they're very similar, but they do different acts. Let's just
No,
say.
I don't see any relation because when animals do it, it's for survival. It's for reserving resources. So they usually kill the child that's the weakest one because
Mhm.
they don't want to invest into raising a weakling that's just going to die anyways. So they sacrifice one for the greater good of the others.
Mm.
But
Well,
with humans, like
Humans are just monsters. There's no
yeah, I think it's just
there's no
they're
logic.
just evil.
Mhm.
so
Social
Basil,
desensitization.
yeah, Basil, I got Basil because the mother rabbit, like there was people raising rabbits on the farm where I used to live, and they raised them to be killed and eaten because people buy rabbits. And some of the mothers, there was like 3 of them, every single time they had babies, they would eat them. And it
Uh,
is part of it is they do think that the babies aren't going to survive, but there is something wrong with them because not every litter, like all of them wouldn't survive. And so Basil started as one of 6, but I've kept baby birds, baby sheep, baby goats alive and things like that, but rabbits were the hardest out of what I've done, and he's the only one that survived. That's why he's like my child.
Oh,
Um,
Mhm.
Basil.
yeah, I've had him since he was 6 hours old, so it does
oh,
happen. But yeah, I fed him from a little syringe. Yeah, he's
oh.
like my child.
Hmm.
But the mothers with the infanticide and things where they do kill their children, and then there are ones that just get off on like watching the child be abused. I don't know what it
Mhm.
is. A lot of times with the killing the babies, it can be for attention. The child or children are getting more attention, and then the ones that like to watch children be abused are just sadistic. I don't think that's what happened with Jen, but I do think that that's what happens with some of the mothers that are into that kill multiple offspring at one time or watch them be abused. Did they
Mhm.
just something's wrong with them? In my opinion, that's what
It's
I
just
think on that.
yeah,
Yeah.
people are gonna be sociopaths and psychopaths. Some of them are men, some of them are women. Because we always think that the men are more violent, but women can be just as violent and horrific
Mhm.
That's true.
even if in different ways. I mean, what about that mother that starved her kid, kept her in a closet, and taught the older boy to do the same? Remember, it was like last year. I don't
Oh,
remember the
the
name.
the
Oh,
crazy
yeah.
Starved
lawyer
him, made
mom.
him
Yeah.
eat like a
Yeah.
frozen chicken nugget, and like made him
Oh,
stay in an ice bath. Like, what kind of a freaking monster?
And
Like, you
then
know
the,
what I mean?
yeah, there's that older case too. One of the first ones I heard of the girl whose family was like in were carnies. They traveled with the circus or whatever, and the girl wanted to stay with her friend, so she was staying there for a year. And the mother of these children like had her in
oh,
the
Sylvia
basement.
Likens.
It's that yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a movie about it. Yeah.
Yeah, like
That's
what
before my time.
there
Oh,
can there can be women that are just psychopathic like that. I don't see Jen as being that. I think Jen was more of a
No,
jealousy thing.
Mm.
I think she just never really bonded. So yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Same time. Some women just never bond with their kid. They don't really have that much of a maternal instinct. Some of us, like you said, your rabbit is your baby. Like my cat's my baby. I'm sure a bunch of you will say the same thing. Your dog, your cat, your bird is your baby. We have like too much maternal instinct.
yeah.
Any animal I see, I'm like, that's my baby. Yeah. And some people just don't have it. And I think you might not know it until you have a child and you find out like, oh, I don't really like this that much. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And
yeah. I think it's
I've
also
noticed.
telling though. Jen didn't
you just
see
didn't care.
she didn't see it as like abusive to Maddie, because even in one of the interviews with the detectives, she said like, okay,
It
so
wasn't
okay,
evil.
so let's, if the sex thing was happening, okay, like, all right, like that's not so bad, but like to actually kill my daughter, like
Yeah,
that's,
to actually
so
hurt her.
she didn't see it as, so that makes me want to dive into her past even more. Like, what kind of experiences have you had that this is not seen as a bad thing? And to
That's
the
a good
extent
point.
that you now allow it to continue into the next generation. Because then what kind of mother would Maddie have been having experienced all of this had she grown?
Oh
So
gosh.
yes, like I want to go back into the past because Yolanda has never, I I have an opinion about her, but I don't know exactly how to express it. So, um, Yolanda, I don't know.
She's
Th-
weird. There's something off about her.
Yes,
In
there's
your
something.
I've
opinion.
Yeah,
got a,
In
yeah,
our
I've got
opinion,
an
that we don't know
opinion
her
of her.
personally.
She was a birth certificate shopper.
In
What?
your opinion,
She
she
was
was
her,
what?
a birth certificate shopper. She was one of those moms that was looking for an opportunity to have a supplemental income, regardless of what, because she was so socially desensitized to. And then when you add in the factors of the money, you add into the factors of the jealousy, you add into the factors of the behavior, the possible childhood trauma of her own. You put all that together, you've got a woven basket of catastrophe waiting to happen.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because if you grow up, if you're abused as a child and you think like children don't even have words to express. You don't know what's going on. You're a child. You don't know the world. You grow up thinking it's normal, and victims are always the ones that are embarrassed and humiliated. Like you don't tell people. You're
Yeah.
embarrassed. You know what I mean? Like the perpetrators, they're never embarrassed. But it's always the victim that's embarrassed. So like what happens? You're not gonna tell somebody, oh yeah, you know what my dad did to me, you know what my uncle did to me, you know what that kid did to me. Like you don't say that kind of stuff. You know, you feel that shame and you don't know why. You grow up thinking it's normal. And Jen did say, like, my mother put into my body that you can't trust any men.
exactly.
And I
That's
just
That's
very
saw
telling.
what Boomer was just saying. Yeah, Jen said that she was allegedly great on a date, and then it's like, okay, Jen, that is that supposedly happened to you? From all the
yeah,
signs that everyone in here in this panel and every different channel has been talking about this case, well, then it seems to be that you knew what was happening to your daughter, and you still allowed it to happen, and you were abused yourself. But then it kind of goes the
yeah,
same idea. If it was an abused person still continuing the cycle. I get that, but it's like, well, why would you act like this towards the detective? Oh my gosh, I was great and it was horrible. Well, maybe I knew my daughter was great, but whatever. It's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
That
And the
Yeah.
wasn't.
irony of that,
If she was
is
really,
that it was so severe that that's why she's on disability, because
yeah,
of that experience. The
now she's
PTSD
handicapped.
was so severe that this is why she's still cray cray like years later. But meanwhile, you're exposing your daughter every time this criminal comes to visit.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
this makes me think that the thing that this was,
Yep.
could she have been date raped? Yes. Like I said, yeah, the trauma was so bad that she was handicapped because she's like, I'm handicapped. Or no, she says, I'm disabled to the cop. And he's like, why are you disabled?
yeah,
You know, and I know a lot of disabilities are not visually, like you can't just
yeah,
tell, right? Like we know that, right? We're not doubting anybody's trauma problems,
No, but
conditions,
for
nothing. We're
it to be a
speculating her specifically. But then, like you said, if if she was so traumatized that she became disabled because of it, and she couldn't work and she had to be on 50, so many medications, then she would be like, what, he touched my daughter? she would
right.
have she would have flown out of that room to
yeah,
strangle that piece of crap, and not like, oh well, he didn't really do anything evil. Like, well, let me see the photo again. No, let me see the
Yep,
picture again.
exactly.
Like, I can't stop thinking about that let me see it again. What?
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
yeah. Those are
She's
the
just using her
inconsistencies that,
disability and mental.
yeah,
Yeah, she's
it
just
doesn't
using
make
all this
sense.
crap as a crutch.
Yeah. hmm
I mean, it
And
seems that
if
way.
she had this, if she had this incident happen to her after she became a teenager and a young adult, you would think that she would be more protective of her child,
Exactly.
regardless of the reason she had the child, regardless of what she went through, regardless of all that. There's a bubble there that she burst in the very beginning to expose this child to all of this mess, because Sephan Sterns is not the only one she's exposed this child to. There's a history here, and there's a
Yes.
public exposed history here. So she burst that bubble as far as, in my opinion, upon conception. When she found out she was pregnant, that baby substituted her childhood that she claims she lost. That nurturing instinct right then. Then that bubble got burst when the act of jealousy came into play with one of her relationships, where they were giving that baby more attention than her. And then look, you take and you factor in all the years that she kept that baby away from Tyler. And then she was back and forth in all those relationships and back and forth
Well,
with all those relationships that she
I,
absolutely knew had those fetishes, or those pedophilic fetishes. She has constantly kept that revolving door going the entire childhood, that child's entire life.
Mm.
yeah, I'm not so quick to give Tyler a free pass. Like, I don't believe she kept him away. He stayed away. He had a
He did it to
choice.
appease, yeah,
Yeah,
because
I
he
don't
had,
believe for
they
13
had like an
years.
affair. Yeah,
Yeah,
they had an affair when
exactly.
he was engaged
But
when
she's
he got
crazy.
back together,
Right.
because they were like
You're
high
right,
school
Jen.
sweethearts.
Yeah.
They were high school
Is
sweethearts.
Tatiana the wife or girlfriend or whatever? Is she Latin also? Because then that would make a lot of sense. Why, like, he would not have such a strong relationship with Maddie, because here's another woman who's jealous of this child because of what she represents. So every
Yeah,
time Maddie went to visit, it was just a constant reminder of that, like, oh, this guy cheated
Affair.
on me, even though according
yeah,
to him they were broken up. But it wasn't just a one night stand. It was a period. It was a period of time that him and Jen were messing around. So it wasn't just a one night stand.
No,
Mm-hmm.
it
yeah.
wasn't. They were together when they were teenagers,
Right.
supposedly when they were in high school, so there was something there. And then for
Yeah,
them to hook up, even if later down the road it was just a 1 or 2 night stand, that would
They
still
had
be
history.
hurtful. Yeah, to
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tatiana.
Yeah, so
And
I
I
think
think that played a
Tatiana,
role.
yeah. So exactly. I think she played a huge role in
Oh
how
yeah.
often he saw that child. So for him, it was probably easier just to keep the peace and wait
mm-hmm.
until Maddie was older. And then, I mean, they probably have their own kids together too. So, you know, like, this child had, like, everybody hated her, basically.
Yeah. She was
That's
in
just
this.
a
It was like this
terrifying
perfect
thing.
storm of just, like,
Yep.
right, like
Yep.
you said, right. So he has an affair. He's engaged, so that's on him mostly. You know,
No, they were broken
I
up.
don't know how. Well,
They're,
because
yeah, in the
apparently he
interview with
got
the
married. It was
they
like
got
right.
back together after, but they were broken up when I think the story was that Jen went to some military ball or something, and
Mm-hmm.
they like reconnected there, and but he was broken up with Tatiana. They were broken up. And then
Okay.
after they got back together, but by then the child already was on the way or already existed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no,
So I
officially
can
they were broken up.
understand. I can understand. I would be jealous. No offense, but I wouldn't want to date someone that has kids just because of baby mama drama.
Yeah, no, me
Well,
too. I'd be jealous too. I'm super jealous.
I understand Tatiana, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, you chose to continue with this man. You chose to marry this man,
Exactly.
and then this this thing happened, and now he has a kid. So like, break up with him or be
Exactly.
nice to the child, because the child is innocent. Maddie is the only victim in the story.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And Tyler could have been like, I understand that you're jealous, but she is my child, and you know what I mean? And
Yeah, but
she,
some men are weak, because even he himself told the detectives a story about how there was an incident when Maddie was visiting. Tatiana made a disparaging comment about Jen or about somebody, and Maddie stopped her and said, "Well, like, all people." I forget
everyone has their own
exactly
beauty.
verbatim what it was, but it was something to the effect of, like, all people are beautiful, or all people, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you shouldn't like down people for that. So I don't believe that like the environment when she was with Tyler and Tatiana was completely toxic free. I believe
No,
Tatiana was dropping little comments
No,
here
she
and
was
there.
shit talking
oh
about
yeah.
Jen.
Yes,
I'm sure she
exactly.
was snarky all the time. Like, don't
Yes,
talk
That
smack about a
fat
child's
little.
parents.
yes,
You know,
exactly. Yeah,
like divorced parents who talk shit, like your father's a piece of crap. You're like, don't do that. Leave the child out of it. The child's an innocent. The child's the only one that's innocent. So yeah, this poor kid, right? Like Jen didn't have a good relationship with her mother. Like somebody, I think it was Plunder, who read all of her live journal. Oh my god, I remember live journal. All of her live journal, or at least the public ones, posts on
Yeah,
in
we
her
went over it
video.
too.
She didn't have a good relationship with her mom, which is common. We don't know what else happened in her life, you know. But it's like, all right, you're a bunch of adults. Get over yourselves and protect this child.
Unfortunately, it continues a cycle. I've noticed it
yeah,
in parts of the communities where I used to live, and unfortunately, it's a cycle that continues over and over and over and over. I mean, and, well, as someone of the African American background, and seeing these cases that back then weren't really talked a lot about, but you see these latest cases of several, unfortunately, black girls getting killed by either their
Oh my
parent or
god.
crazy boyfriend,
yes,
whatever.
yeah,
And it's like, yeah, that's something that in my community I've always known, but we just don't. Unfortunately,
exactly.
We
Yeah,
don't talk
yeah,
about it.
we don't talk about it.
yeah, yeah.
It's unfortunate, and like it's
Mm-hmm.
so heartbreaking. This, every time I watch a video, I watch Ninchi's videos like every day.
Mm-hmm.
I come here when we're talking about her, about Maddie, and like it just, it's so heartbreaking. I mean, all these kids' stories are heartbreaking. It's not just
Mm-hmm.
hers, but because like we have so much content about hers, we don't have a lot of information about a lot of the kids. They just, slide under the radar. They just disappear, and it's so sad because yeah, it is hard to break the cycle. It's incredibly hard to break the cycle. You have to make intentional choices for the rest of your life to break the cycle. Every day you have to decide to break that cycle. It's, you know what I mean? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
so ingrained in you to act a certain way. Like, can you change your habits? Can you change yourself? It's really hard. You're like, I'm not going to do that thing anymore. You fight against that thing every single day. So it's not easy, but it's like, it's a child.
Mm-hmm.
It's a child. Children must be protected, you know?
Sorry, I saw something funny. Thought I was Filipino. I get that a lot. A lot of people think I look like some other racial group. I'm like, yeah, I'm that. Sometimes I'm Indian, or sometimes I'm Hispanic. I just play along with it.
I was looking for that lab we did on Jen's lab journal, but I can't find it.
I
She
think
We
it was
went
the
sounded
over it.
first
so
one.
like those back then. She sounded so normal. Like the
Yeah.
things she
Yeah.
would write about were just like
Was just yeah,
things like hopes and dreams and thoughts that like all of us would have had at that age. And then at
something
some
happened.
point,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it got derailed. But like she had potential. Him, the demon, on the other hand, I think he had there was no hope in hell for him. Like as long as his mother was alive, like he was like that woman is just evil. To be honest, it's
Yeah.
my opinion. My opinion is that she is just pure evil. Because even in the jail calls, she is doing everything to bash Jen. Where like it doesn't matter anymore. Your son is a child violator. Like you have enough on your plate before you don't need to be going into other people's backyards. Like let Jen's family deal with Jen. You got to deal with your own business.
Mm-hmm.
Like which is that your son you raised like go- the only reason he is still alive is because Satan wants nothing to do with him. So that's what you raised. So
Yeah.
get on top of that. You don't need to be, you don't like, but those jail calls, like, they're so infuriating because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, my little baby. Oh, I need to go breastfeed him. Oh, his
Yeah.
diaper needs to be like, it's just infuriating because he's pushing 40 and playing with
Sorry.
goddamn purple dragons. Like, I don't get
Yeah.
it.
I
It was
mean,
so funny though. He's like, it's in the mouse droid. She's like, what's a mouse droid? And I'm like, oh, dude, I
it's
love
like
Yeah.
Yeah,
mouse droids, but now
exactly.
because of him, I hate all that shit because, ugh,
I was about to say, like, I'm a huge nerd, and I go to everyone always
the
call it Comic
conventions.
Con, but yeah, I go to cosplay
Yeah,
conventions
but
and
you
everything.
work for a living. You work for
Right.
Right,
that. Like
right.
That's
you
different.
you pay your own way. Like
I have to
that's one of
buy
the
my
privileges of being an adult.
I have to buy my $200 lightsaber that I want to use.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
That's one of the privileges of being an employed adult, is that you get to make those decisions yourselves. If you like grape juice and you want to drink grape juice every single day, you don't have to wait for your mom and dad to buy it weekly. You can go buy it every single day. But no, not this man. This man, mommy, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, can you put more
Yep.
money on my commissary? Because I need more candy.
Well,
I need more coffee.
now it seems like
Lord have
he's
mercy.
someone's bitch in jail.
Oh, we can only pray.
Yeah, with the whole pen situation. I know we're going to talk about that, but I mean, basically, yeah, it
Oh
sounds like
yeah.
either he was someone's bitch or he was getting conned some way to have that pen of his get used.
Yeah, we'll go back to that. I can't find it. There's a link in one of my description boxes to her live journal, but I mean, we've been over it. I'm sure y'all have heard it. Lord, I'm typing in Grish. Yeah, I don't know if y'all have heard about his latest court papers, but we'll go back to that if y'all want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that's on panel, let me know if you want me to stop, and I'll pause it and we can talk. This is from Grizzly True Crime. I will pin her link again. I think it's still pinned in the comments section.
Found guilty, yes. Oh my goodness, what was he found guilty of? So let's check this out. It says inmate name Sterns, Sephan, name number. There's his, inmate number. Housing assignment is that it's CISO1. And then date written is the 26th of March of 2025. And that's the same date of the incident at 6 o'clock in the morning. Oh my word, on the Charlie floor. Now, I'm glad that I requested these disciplinary records because I'm always thinking up what can I request from the jail or from any of these records requests. You got to be specific. Otherwise, you can't just say, I want everything, because then they won't give you everything. You got to be specific. So this time I specifically wanted to know if he had been naughty in jail, and here it is. So it says, rule, number, and charge violated. 3.4. Loaning or stealing of property, telephone PIN, or anything of value. Statement of facts. It says state fully exact facts and circumstances of the offense, including witnesses. On the above date and approximate time, I was assigned as the Zone 1 and 2 supervisor. Upon beginning my shift, I was informed by Lieutenant Zumbrum that inmates Almestica Miguel and Sterns Stefan violated policy. It was informed that inmate Almestica was utilizing inmate Sterns' telephone PIN to make several calls. It is a violation to utilize someone else's PIN, as well as loaning it out to another individual. After further investigation, it was discovered that the allegations were true. Inmate Almestica made several telephone calls utilizing inmate Sterns' PIN. Some telephone calls lasting over 15 minutes. Wow, they even went overtime. An inmate's telephone PIN is created by the inmate. Therefore, no one else should have this information. And obviously, they would have briefed them on this before the time. Both.
So what do you guys think about that?
Well, I don't know if me and Mercedes were laughing. Well, I was laughing because it's like, oh, I think I know what was going on, because it sounds
I
like
can only imagine.
Hispanic. Well, it's like a Hispanic guy, and I'm thinking,
Yeah, I hope my imagination is right.
he probably could have been maybe a gangbanger of some sorts. That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking. So,
Oh goodness.
yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's what I think. Well, he's gonna have. Well, I've always said this. I think once Stinky does get found guilty, he's gonna be very in trouble, let's say, with the Hispanic community in prison, because I've known people that been in prison, and some of them don't like certain people doing certain things to people. So I think his butt is going to be watched out by a lot of
Yeah.
Hispanic gang. I wouldn't say even gang, just Hispanic individuals in prison.
Yeah, we could say that it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. But wait a minute. I thought he was in protective custody. So that means, is he in Gen Pop? How is he able to like?
No, they
another-
put them.
yeah.
They put them with their own kind, like people that are accused of the
all
same
the PDFs
types.
together?
Yes, yes. But I remember in one of the jail calls they had said he's told his parents that they are giving him a hard time. Even the COs are giving him a bit of a hard time because he was talking about how they'll change his cell, they'll move him in the middle of the night, like at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
for no
Yeah.
There
reason
were
at all.
ants in my old cell, and now there's ants in my new cell, and it's like so itchy, scratchy.
I just love the
Yes,
fact that he's getting
And they're
fucked.
not nice to me. So if I want to,
yes.
and you know what I hate? That he reads all the fucking books that I used to read when I was a Michael Crichton,
Yep.
Lord of the Rings. I'm like,
Yep.
stop liking the books that I like.
I know.
See, I don't know why his parents are sending him that. They should be sending
Because
him
they're
like
idiots.
self-help
Bible.
books or like the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, everything like you can think of except that. Because why? Like, I don't get it.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
buy him a nothing, not a band-aid
Yeah,
for
I
for
wouldn't
that
send him
money.
any. No, I do want to send him something. I think we should all send him a box of like the empty wrappers for the root beer candies, like just the wrappers. But um yeah, I don't know why his parents are still coddling him.
Mm-hmm.
He then pointed out, and we'll talk about that for a second. That about his PIN number, it's been said he bartered his PIN to get commissary, and so yeah, I'm not gonna play her whole video, but basically what we find out is that a girl named okay, this happened, and then there was a girl named Genesis sending
Yeah,
him packages,
this is crazy. Like, really, the name? Come
and
on.
and then this short came out, and we find out who Genesis is. So I'm gonna play this short. If you guys want to watch
Ooh,
her
I haven't seen
videos,
this.
yeah, if you guys want to watch that video, definitely
Jen
check her out.
is
So her name is Genesis. So
Right.
this is who
is he a
Genesis is.
I
stripper
thought it was a
or
joke. I thought it was a joke.
No,
Oh, we
I
find out who she is. Okay.
yep.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so you know the video that I just shared with you today on April 29th of 2025 of Sephan Sterns' jail records that showed us that he was disciplined for sharing his phone PIN with another inmate. That inmate's name is Miguel El Mestico. Now, guess what? Apparently, Genesis Santiago, that other person that's sending Sephan Sterns packages, like care packages, parcels, like his parents are sending, that person called Genesis is allegedly Miguel's girlfriend. How hectic is that? So it's very likely not Jen Soto, even though that was an interesting theory from another one of the Grizzlies where they found the surname or middle name Soto somewhere linked there, and the addresses are quite interesting as well. But whoa, to think that it's Miguel's girlfriend sending Sephan Sterns stuff, that means Sephan Sterns has a new buddy there in jail. And so they seem to be doing
Maybe.
some sort of trading, which is interesting. Okay.
So evidently, from what it sounds like, he was giving Miguel his PIN number to make phone calls, and then she was sending him care packages in return. But it seems like, okay, I put that together and was thinking about it yesterday, and it seems like if she can send Stefan care packages, then she could put money on his account for him to call her,
Yeah.
unless they're co-defendants in a case. And he's not supposed to have contact with her, so therefore he would be using Sephan Sterns' number to make it look like he's not talking to her. Stefan is.
Right.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, that whatever Miguel is doing, he doesn't want it linked back to him. So whatever is in that care package has actually belongs to Miguel. I don't think there's any favors being done here.
Okay.
I don't, that's my take. Because why? Why do favors for, I mean, Miguel has to know who this man is. There's no way in hell they don't know who he is.
Right.
They know his story up and down.
And then
but
I would
if
So
they're
say,
all together, pedophiles together, they don't care.
well, I think Miguel definitely seems to be in the system a lot because he knows how to play the game, and Stearns doesn't. And that's
Yeah.
also I was like, I think
yeah,
that's why I keep thinking this is maybe a little bit of the someone I forgot what he said, but basically sometimes they're due early form of jail trolling or fucking with someone, and it could be stuff like this. It's tactics like that. Oh yeah,
yeah,
like, I'll let you do that, and you do this for me, and then it'd be more and more and more bartering, air quotes, and then it'd be like, well, You owe us a lot of shit now, Stefan.
Yeah,
My bitch,
maybe.
no. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, he's so stupid. It could just be like, yeah, I'll keep you safe. Because, we all here, you like backdoor, but a lot of people here in jail like backdoor. So we can keep you safe from that. But
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think this guy's
Remember,
doing any
guys, it's not a
favors.
matter of it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. We know it's gonna
Hey,
happen to him.
hey, babe, this fool's like giving me stuff. Okay, just say some nice stuff to him, all right?
I don't know. Yeah, I found it interesting. I don't know.
It's
I don't
definitely
know.
interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, Grizzly found that. Definitely check her out. And you can finish watching the rest of her video. Okay, Blue Sapphire. So here, I don't think anybody's trying to make excuses for Jen, but regardless, the whole thing about my channel is that I like to have an open discussion. So if people don't, if I have a different opinion than somebody else, right? I still want to hear the other person's opinion so I can judge for myself and say, like, maybe they saw something that I didn't, maybe they heard something I didn't. And if I know the information and am respectful to their thoughts, opinions, and speculations, then I might learn something new. So I don't think anybody's really trying to be like a softball person towards Jen. We just, I'm
Just
just
want to understand how
listening.
she got that way.
No, yeah, no, definitely I'm not.
No
I
one's
don't
making
believe
excuses for
like
her.
trying to understand how somebody becomes who they are does not exonerate them. I believe
No.
she
No.
deserves the death penalty as well. I believe
Me
she
too.
deserves the most painful death penalty there could ever be. So send her to Afghanistan. Like, no, but I also think it's important to understand how these things happen because, like, I mean, it's one thing to be a viewer but you can do more than just view. Like, you can understand, and at some point you might be in a position where you might actually be able to change an outcome. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, but Jen is responsible for what
Mhm.
she did, and so is Stefan, and so everybody involved in this is responsible for their actions.
I was gonna
And
say, oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say the Blue Sapphire. Unless you're talking about the people that are defending Jen, because we're not. But it's like, yeah, I get what you're saying. That there are a lot of people that are still maybe like on a like with a stick trying to be nice-ish towards Jen and say, oh, maybe she's this and that because
I'm
she's
sorry.
mentally disturbed and yeah, all that. But no, here in this
I
panel and
think there's
everyone
just
else, no, we don't.
there's just one channel where the creators like, oh, I think Jen was groomed by it. I think it's just like the one channel. I'm not gonna say who it is,
Oh yeah.
but all the other true crime, I don't watch them all, but like the big ones that cover this, we all freaking can't hate her guts. Like we all want her to pay.
Yeah, I
We're
don't.
not like, oh, poor Jenny, baby. Like she wasn't groomed. She knew what was happening. She allowed it to happen. She didn't give
even
That's
a
if she
rat's
was
ass about her
groomed, that
child.
doesn't excuse her. Even if she
no.
was groomed, even like if she was forced under torture, it doesn't absolve her of anything.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I was groomed from the age of 13 and ended up getting with the person, and I
Oh
had
my
a child
god.
with him when I turned 18.
Oh my
And
god.
and I would never. I mean, if anything, it made me more cautious about anybody being around my children at all whatsoever, male or female. So I don't excuse her for that either. Her cognitive abilities, a lot of people cut her slack with that. I think if you're cognitively there enough to notice or say something about the possibility of a Woody Allen situation, then you're cognitively aware enough to be concerned about the relationship they were having and see the signs. So I cut her no slack.
Exactly, and
Maddie
yeah,
was groomed, not Jen.
exactly,
Yeah.
and I've always said,
everybody everybody left behind is not a victim. The
hmm
victims are all dead. There's no victims in this story except the one who passed away. So
hmm
Yeah.
nobody, yeah. And that's what, like, yeah, I don't know. I have a hate on for Deb. It's never gonna die. So I find that like I
yeah,
find
yeah.
she's a big root of where this story went. So
Mm.
yeah.
I agree. I agree. Well, I don't. I won't say I don't hate her. I just don't like her. I just don't trust her. She's a liar in many, many ways. And then with Jen, like I said, we all know. Yes, it's allegedly, but allegedly, we all know that Jen had a huge part in what happened to her daughter.
Yeah,
And
in my
We
opinion,
don't know
yeah.
the full extent of it, but we know
Mhm.
that she was part of it.
and
You
it's
know,
yeah, and it's just hopefully, fingers crossed that something's gonna happen to her one way or another. We all know Stinky, he's done for it. Doesn't he can delay it
whatever.
for all we want. His ass is cooked one way or another. It's just
Yeah.
Jen. That's the only one we're still kind of wondering. And
You know,
anyone
people
Yeah.
say that, but like, I mean, look at Casey Anthony. She's out living her life, and people forget another case will come along and people get
yeah.
all in an uproar. But like, people lose interest very quickly. So if this guy if somehow gets off, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. A lot of systems are broken. Like we
Mhm.
just, I don't know. When you compare, like, it makes me mad. Like when I see, Luigi being transported like for his court appearances, and he is surrounded by machine guns because oh my god, he's so dangerous. And meanwhile this guy is like, you know, getting coffee and root beer barrels and whatever, and
Barrels.
it's like, really, is this what we as a society have decided is more important? Like, so taking the life of a CEO is worth more, that deserves more punishment and
Hmm.
more scrutiny than taking the life of a child. Aren't we supposed to protect the most vulnerable in society? But
You know
instead
what?
we continue with a system that, like, in a lot of countries that would be a good reason for a revolution, but
Hmm.
meanwhile we're just accepting it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
don't get it.
Um,
I could go on a rabbit hole on that kind of stuff
Yeah,
too.
it's just unfortunate for the next generation. I hope they do better than us because
I I
we've
do too,
messed it
but
up.
there's concern. There's deep, legitimate concern. So you were talking about though if this guy gets off. So let's discuss. Does anyone think that Jen Soto snapped, did this to Maddie, and that he's taking the fall because he's guilty of the CSAM?
No
Uh,
way.
I,
Don't
I
think
guess
so.
I guess I would say I'll say that no, yeah, it's he's too much of a me kind of guy. Like, sure, he'll deal with the CSAM stuff, but to admit that I killed basically my literal Lolita in a sense, wow,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wouldn't make sense.
yeah. No,
So
I
we have
imagine that
to.
it wasn't that was an accident. You know how some people like choking and stuff like that, and
I
that's
don't know.
what I
I
think.
think Grish has a good theory on that, and I'm sticking with the Grish theory.
Yeah, I saw it, and I
Yeah,
think
let's.
it's a good possibility what happened with
yeah,
that.
I think so. Yeah,
Was that in the
What
yeah.
live that he did? I
Hmm?
haven't seen that live. I
is
need to
that in
check what
his
it was.
live or in a new video?
It was his they had the live one.
No, it was an old video, like one of the
No,
first ones.
it was the live one.
Oh, was it?
The recent one, the one that he did his first call-in show, and I called in and we
Oh.
talked a little bit about it. But yeah,
It was the one where the toothbrush, where he brings up the toothbrush in the bathtub,
so
That
and
one.
the
he
newest
makes the
one. Oh well, I guess
Oh, I know
yeah,
what you're talking about. Okay.
yeah,
well.
and he makes the connection of like,
Mhm,
so you don't remember, they were asking her, oh, you don't remember what she was wearing? Because this, like, the insinuation is that, yeah, because she walked in on them, like, in while they were both showering, and
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
yeah, so, you know, something he sort of insinuates, like, Jen was involved, physically more involved than, yeah.
Than we think. Yeah.
Well, I
Personally,
guess.
I
Sadly,
don't
we
think
won't know.
Maddie, I,
Mhm,
I personally don't think Maddie ever even made it upstairs. I think she remained downstairs, and I think whoever was upstairs, it was probably Jen, but I don't think Maddie ever made it upstairs. I think she was downstairs,
mhm,
and because why would you send a couple to go sleep in a twin bed? Wouldn't it make more sense for one person?
mhm,
Because then at one point during the interrogation, when the investigators are asking her about, like, what did Maddie take with her to go upstairs to sleep? Like, does she usually take a blanket or her stuffies or something like that? And Jen said, no, nothing. Like, she didn't take anything. But yet, in the text message that he sent to Jen, where she says, you know, make sure she
Making
goes
her
to sleep
nest.
right now, he says, oh, yeah, she's making her nest. Like, she's building her nest right now and this and that. So that would sort of alludes to, like, oh, okay, so she has her blanket and her stuffed toys and her pillows and whatever. But
Uh huh.
yet Jen doesn't remember seeing her go upstairs with that. So that's, to me, that's part of the script that they wrote that never happened. So to me, I
Yeah,
don't
or
think the child
maybe
ever made it
she never
upstairs.
saw them because, by the time Jennifer got home, Maddie was already upstairs
That's what I've thought. That by the time
or dead
Jennifer,
already.
yeah,
Because I don't believe that conversation happened. She's like, what happened when you got home? She ate her pub sub in her room, but then everybody was in her room, but then she ate by herself in her room. Like, which is it? And then she goes, oh, and we talked about her birthday party and how all the gifts that she got. Liar, she got one gift. She was really upset about it. And she wasn't really happy about all the many gifts she got. And then like we counted her money. Did you? Did you count all the money because you wanted to see if you're gonna use it for your Botox, or maybe that's why she canceled the Botox appointment because Maddie didn't get enough money to pay for it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't believe she hung out with Maddie at all that night. She's like, what was she wearing? Yeah, she couldn't, and she could not give any definite information about that night. So I think that maybe they were already upstairs because she seems so selfish. I don't think that she would go sleep in that small bed upstairs and leave her precious king size bed for anyone.
Hmm.
I don't know.
See, I thought, okay, she came
I don't
home,
know.
they're in the shower, an argument happened, something happened. She got mad, whatever, but that's not when Maddie died. And for whatever reason, she went upstairs, they stayed downstairs. But at some point, a few hours later, I don't know, maybe in her like drug haze, she came back downstairs and was just like continued the argument from earlier. And I think maybe that's when things went too far and she ended up hurting Maddie like permanently. And then the demon was outside smoking or whatever, and then he came back and found the body. That I don't know. I don't know. There's just a lot of inconsistencies that are,
Yeah,
I hope.
it sucks because she's a
it's
liar and he's a
possible.
liar. So, yeah,
Yeah.
everything is possible. We're never going to know until one of
Mhm.
them actually tells the truth. Because, you know what I mean? Like, all we can do is speculate, but, like, ah,
And
I
to
don't
go,
believe that he found her. I think he did it.
yeah, and to go further in on what you were saying, Mercedes, like he does say that they would fight and they would get physical. Things had started to get physical. So, I mean,
Oh
it
yeah,
seems,
yeah, no doubt. I remember. I mean, I think a lot of girls go
Hispanics.
through that phase.
yeah.
And
I mean, Hispanic moms will throw the
yes,
chancla and will smack you upside the head.
exactly. So I mean, that's where we learn it from, from our moms.
The flying chancla,
Yeah,
it goes real far. So, yeah.
yeah. I don't
I
know.
can't
I
see
don't know, but
her.
I'm hoping that his obsession with the droid and the purple dragon is
Yeah, what
actually
is that?
because there's something in there that we're going to find out later on. Because I think I read somewhere that that purple dragon has like a video camera or something. It can record. I think I
Huh.
don't even know where I could be lying. I'm not sure. I think because I read a lot and things start getting mixed up.
Yeah.
But I think because he was insisting on that stupid mouse droid and the purple dragon, so there's something there. So I think maybe he hid something in there, maybe a USB, maybe he
Yeah.
had like a hidden camera. There's something he must have on Jen. And
Well, you know that creep has a hidden camera somewhere.
of course, yeah,
It's
exactly.
his
Yeah,
MO.
yeah, yeah. So I can't believe like you're gonna do it like you're at some point, like me, I'm paranoid by nature, so I always need to have like a backup plan and a backup plan and a backup plan. So when you're doing stuff like this, you're like, man, you have so many backup plans because this is the kind of thing that gets you the death penalty. So you don't go into this just completely like, oh, okay, trusting. So like, I
Yeah.
think Jen, whatever, like they didn't find anything on Jen because Jen was deleting as she went along. Like Jen was destroying, like she didn't keep anything as trophies for memories or anything. But she wasn't in it for that. She was in it for the money. Him on the other case, he's in it because he's a sick motherfucker. So this
Mhm.
is why he needed all of that. So he he's not going to destroy that because to him this is precious. It's
Yeah.
valuable. But to Jen, like yeah, certain comments are going to be deleted, but they're being destroyed as the years are going on. They're being destroyed in the moment. So I think in that sense, she was a hell of a lot smarter than him. but then at some point I don't believe he's the only one who knew what he was doing. I believe somebody else knew. And they must, at some point, he received the advice like, protect yourself somehow. Because if you go down, make sure you take somebody down with you, because the punishment will be lighter. So he something is in place. And I'm thinking it has something to do with that droid and dragon, and we're going to get a surprise at some point.
Because he
That
said it was like, it was the watch that was in there, right?
something,
It's
yeah.
it's a popcorn bucket, and there's like a little spot in it where you could put something. Have you guys seen the video that we did where it talks about Maddie's screen name being Little Figment?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
No, it's what? What is it?
I'll show you the live, but Madeline's name for her Instagram and things like that was Little Figment, and Little Figment is the purple dragon. So it's interesting, like what we talk
Stearns
about.
definitely told her to do that.
Oh, it's
So he had this purple dragon in a safe box, like in a lock box. That wasn't his most valuable possession, like financial wise. So why put that in like, why protect that? What is it
Yeah, because
about
I have
that?
no idea what that is. I've heard it, but I haven't. It's just too many of y'all's true crimers making videos to keep up with. I'm like the purple
It's
dragon is
literally a
a
purple
thing,
dragon. It's a
but I'm like,
toy.
what is it? The mouse
It's
droid. I
it's
guess
a
you can put stuff inside.
so
I thought I read somewhere in one of the comments or
Because it's in
something that
Star
it
Wars.
has video capacity, like that it can record. I could
don't
be
know.
I could be confusing it for something else, but there has to be a reason why he was so persistent with that. There has to be.
Yeah, so Cozy, if you look on the screen, this video right
Mm-hmm.
here with the purple dragon, that's where
Is
I
it your
talk.
channel?
Yeah, I can.
Oh yeah.
Hold on.
Okay. No. Yeah. I saw a Grish up there, and I was like, wait, I'm confused. Okay. Yeah. I can't keep up with all of y'all's videos. I have work, I have a life, and by life I mean I just work. That's it.
I'll I'll try to play it from here so you can
I'll
kind of
find
see.
Maddie's
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, so it tells us, I don't know, I have no idea how he had this because I haven't seen it, but Maddie's Discord was that. His Google, which we did have, was sustanet@gmail.com. And then we have Maddie's Instagram, Little Figment. Okay. So, like I said, I was perusing YouTube streets and I typed in Little Figment. _ Little Figment. Look at that.
I googled it. Okay.
Do y'all see that? That's that
Yeah.
purple dragon. That's the popcorn bucket. Madeline's Instagram name was Little Figment. Okay. And then, let me jump back over here. I also found out that
Great.
Sephan obviously worked at Disney, okay? Well, what ride did he work at? Well, it was
Motherfucker.
Little Figment. It was the Little Figment ride. It was the popcorn bucket that he has. It's Little Figment. It's the purple dragon. That's the ride he worked at Disney. And the fact that Madeline's Instagram name was Little Figment is very disturbing. I mean, was that her nickname?
So yeah, I won't make y'all sit through that, but that's kind of what
Okay.
that talks about, the purple
Okay.
dragon bucket.
Yeah, so it was in that episode that somebody made a comment about something being able to record. So that was where, and then I went and I searched and I Googled, and but I'm my memory's not the best.
Mine's
but I
not
think-
That's
either.
a lot of information.
But I think his insistence, his persistence with that, like, you have to find that droid, you have to find the purple dragon, you have to find the like, there's something behind. Because, okay, so his parents are going to find it, and what? They can't send it to him. So
Right.
obviously there were other instructions that we just didn't hear that were like somehow communicated. Maybe like he told his lawyers, like, yeah, there's a USB in there. There's something in there that you guys can use. That's what
Yeah,
I think.
I really
But
hope that there's some proof to land Jennifer Soto in prison because I cannot believe. I'm not a lawyer, but like what I know from law, just from watching true crime, but she lied to law enforcement. That's at least a misdemeanor, I think. You know, she was covering up for him. I think, if I'm not mistaken, makes her an accessory after the fact.
mm-hmm.
Until you can prove that she was actively participant in hiding a body. You know,
yeah,
because if
if
you're
Madeline
lying
was
to
still
cover up for
alive,
someone,
she would be in jail right now. Like the
yeah,
Yeah,
only
and then
way,
there's like child endangerment that leads to
yeah,
death, resulting in death or something. At
the only
least
way
that.
that this was able to happen was with Jen's blessing and participation and her protection. That is the only way that this was ever able to occur for as long as it did.
Yeah, she encouraged it, or at the very least, pretended not. She didn't care about it. She let it happen.
Yeah,
And there's a
absolutely.
lot of mothers that don't know that their husband sneaks out of bed. Like there's a, because some people get offended because they kind of like project it, like, oh, like there's a lot of people that don't know. But if she said, all the crap that she said, man, she knew it was happening.
No, she knew. She knew.
You know
I
what
She
I
think
mean?
needed
so.
it to
I'm
happen.
sure that if like what my husband is doing what to my child, I mean, I would the cops would have to hurry, run over to get to him before I get to him. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
like,
no, exactly.
oh, I don't
That's
want this to
exactly
be a
what most
Woody Allen
women would do.
situation.
Yeah,
That's a goal. That's like the cherry on top, man, because it's a very specific situation. It's not like, oh, she's kind of like a Lolita. You know what I mean? Like, that's a very specific situation where the stepfather grooms his stepdaughter and then divorces the mom, marries the stepdaughter, has a kid with her.
Yeah,
It's extremely specific.
have you
yeah.
heard the phone call? That shit is sad.
Which one?
The with Woody Allen's wife about the children.
Oh no.
It's pretty messed up. Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, it's awful.
What are you talking about, Mia? I wasn't really seeing her.
Yeah, she's like you hurt her. They were scared. Like it's awful. But
That was
yeah,
my worst Woody Allen impersonation. But anyway,
I didn't know. I'm thinking about the Lolita Express plane. I didn't know what is your definition of a Lolita?
oh, that's
It's
based on
from
a
that. It's
famous
a book
author.
that became a
Yeah,
movie where it's like a 10-year-old or 12-year-old or however old she's supposed to be, like, seduces this 50-year-old man, and he's just like powerless. And like there's like the movie poster is a girl with like a heart-shaped sunglasses sucking on a
yeah.
lollipop,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
Oh,
girls kind of like romanticize this, where like the older. I never got the appeal of like an older man, because my if it's an older man, like I see men my age and I'm like, what an old dude. I'm like, oh, he's my age, like that's an old dude, so it's like romantic. You know how girls are sexualized and PDFs, they do say that. They're like, well, the 3-year-old seduced me, the 4-year-old came on to me, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
no, they didn't. Children don't have this kind of. They don't know. So like, you know what I mean? Like if you make a comment like that, And if you are suspicious that this might happen, why are you letting this person still in your life?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think from the moment that you start like, oh, I think he's kind of looking at her kind of weird. I think that maybe they're being a little bit inappropriate. Then you don't bring him into your life. You don't bring him into your house. You especially don't send him upstairs to bed.
No, if you have a concern about a Woody Allen situation, then you need to relook at your life
You
and say,
break up
okay,
with him.
yeah, exactly. You need to ask why do I feel that way and get that person out of your life. But I think that she didn't. I think that she was like, well, I think that he had twisted Maddie's head so much that
Yeah,
it's a
Yeah.
possibility that Maddie was like, but I love him
exactly.
and I want to be with him, and she was
Yeah,
like, well, okay, but you can't tell nobody. And then after
exactly.
that, it became, well, we're already doing this, so we can make money from it. So, and then
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
Maddie
the
was
other things.
groomed. She was groomed.
Yes.
She was a
Yes.
victim. She was innocent. and she was taken advantage of in the worst possible way.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's that crime? It's one of the offenses that they put on Stern, which is like, oh crap.
Lewd and lascivious molestation, 60 counts, something like
Yeah,
that.
but it's like when you are like in a position of power or like
A familial or custodial authority.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, that. Because if it's a stranger, I mean, it's not less bad. But like, if it's a stranger, it's a stranger. But that's someone in your house that it's really hard to say no. You know, it's like you got this position of power.
Yeah.
You know, it's like prisoners having sex with the
Guard.
I have
COs.
no words today. I have no words with the guards. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even if it's not raped, even if the prisoner definitely wants it and they initiate it, technically speaking, because the guard is in the position of power, then the crime is like on them. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's an adult. It's not like, oh, it was the neighbor's boy that they were playing with and they just pulled down their pants because kids will do that. They're like, what do you got? You know what I mean? It wasn't that. It's an adult man who's 37 going on 79 who thinks like a 7-year old who is abusing a child, destroying her life in the worst possible way. And in Jen's interview, the one that's filmed that has the video, she says in one when the detective Kevin, who was like our hero, when he's like really laying it on her, and she goes, oh, I'm just glad that this happened because at least now the abuse stopped. She said, I'm paraphrasing her, but that's what she says. Like,
What?
she says that it's like really hard to catch. It's in the video that's
With
not
Dad?
redacted. Yeah, she says that
Yeah.
when the detective is like really pressing her hard, like
Ugh.
you're not showing emotion, you're not worrying about your
Oh
daughter, you
yeah,
don't
yeah,
care, you
yeah.
didn't look for her, and then she says, "Well, I'm just glad." It's like really quick, you might miss it.
Huh.
I'm just really glad this happened because at least now the abuse stopped.
Wow.
She says so many weird, stupid stuff that if it wasn't a serious situation, she would be made fun of. She would be a locale. Like if no child was abused, just
What does that
Jen
mean?
herself
I
would
don't
be a
know what
locale.
that means.
Uh,
Well, I basically a locale is. I mean, I guess the way you can describe it, they're like usually, let's say, the town idiots that people just make fun of
Okay.
because they
yep.
intentionally do stupid stuff.
Yeah,
So,
I don't watch the locale universe, but I do participate in the drama community, the true crime drama community. Sometimes that's like my guilty pleasure. And there was a girl named Savage that I watched. I watched a couple of her lives, but I never commented in it. I just wanted to see what she was talking about. And now she's a locale, and they like
oh boy.
I think she had to put from what I've heard, like I said, I've never watched it, but I've heard people talking, and there was something like she had to put spaghetti sauce down her shirt, and I heard about another person having to shave their head or their eyebrows. Like they get paid money, evident from what I understand.
Jeez.
There's teams, and this man pays them money to do things, but like
Oh,
if they
Team
don't do
Star.
it, is that what it is? I don't know.
Well, he's another internet personality, but he has a channel called Locale Live, and
Ugh,
there are several famous like people that are
Oh,
locales that are on there.
the more I
maybe
think
I'm
about
How
this,
much
confused.
does it pay?
I don't know.
Uh,
I've asked the same question. I'm
what are you
Because
asking? Why are
I
you
might be in the
interested?
wrong field.
But like most locale people are usually Jen would kind of fall into. So there's several female famous locales currently. Like I don't know, ever heard of Feudy Beauty?
I haven't.
So
You like
she's
some weird stuff, Bazard.
hey, this is the internet.
I have
This is
hobbies.
the internet, people. Come on now.
You need to
But
go
no,
pay
like
some
Feudy Beauty.
work hammer figurines or something.
I wish I was that nerdy. Like, yeah, it's like I wish I was wasting my time on my off days, like coloring those like little dumb models. But no, like Feudy Beauty. There's a few other ones, but for at least for women. But yeah, there's just weird people that intentionally do weird stuff, or they're so cringe. Let's just say that. And then when people make fun of them, most people tell people if you're gonna be considered a locale, don't interact with your trolls. Like every time they fuck with you, just ignore them. Yeah, they're gonna still do it, but don't react. A lot of locals don't. They keep on talking about their trolls. They keep interacting with them. They keep falling for the same tricks over and over and over.
Oh, okay. So I think I kind of get it. Yeah, I don't.
Mhm.
Yeah, trolls are like, if you're a good troll and you can make me laugh and you're not like doing anything that's gonna get me in trouble on YouTube, I'm good with it. But like, if you come in here being an asshole, I gotta block you. I don't.
Yeah, a lot of them are going to do that. Yeah, but then it depends on the individual. Like this
Yeah.
one guy, he's considered one of, I wouldn't say my favorite, but I've seen a lot of his stuff. Is like Lauren Armstrong from To Catch a Predator, and he's like
Okay.
he's one of their most infamous catches back when the show was on. And for what, the last almost 20 years now, he's been trolled, catfished by people who pretend to be like fans of his, like, oh yeah, we saw you on the show and we believe you're innocent, but then in the whole time they're fucking with him.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he's a well, I mean, he went on the show to meet a supposedly thought a 13-year-old girl. His chat log is like about 400 pages long of just the most disgusting things you can imagine, talking to a 13-year-old little girl. And then he acts like, I was tricked. I wasn't going to do nothing. And because of that, he still gets
We were
messed
just
with.
gonna hang out.
Exactly. He gets messed with to this day. Like, people still catfish him and fuck with him just to be like, oh, yeah, we totally believe that you're innocent, Lauren. But why'd you wrote down you want the little girl to see Mr. Penis?
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, so there's that.
Yeah, y'all need some better hobbies for real.
I know.
I was gonna look. Some of y'all were asking what that guy's charges were, and I was trying to grab his name real quick so we could look it up. It's.
I don't think the guy that's in there. I mean, you don't technically always have to be Chomo to be in the protective. I mean, it can be anything. You could be a gang member that's maybe a snitch or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
so I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna say that guy is a Chomo because I don't know, but I mean, he's bullying. In my opinion, he's bullying or messing with Stern, so that's a good thing in my opinion.
Yeah, I hope he has a miserable time in prison. You know, like all of this is a warning to all of us that, you know, any child that you know that is in your family or a roommate or a friend or a neighbor, like we all, and like, you know, including myself, like, oh, it's not my business. I'm not going to get involved. It's not my life. I'm just going to mind my own business. Well, sometimes we have to stop minding our own businesses because like the roommates, I'm not blaming them. You know, they're like, hey, I think this is kind of weird. I think this is kind of weird. I think this is kind of weird. And I imagine like if they were in a financial position where they couldn't go to another apartment, they couldn't go somewhere else. And if
Sorry.
they are like telling Jen like, hey Jen, I think this is kind of weird. I think maybe you should, you know what I mean? Like you like they try to warn her. They express their concerns and Jen was like, okay. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to put yourself out there and get into somebody's business, but we do have to watch out for the kids. Like this is not.
That's sort of what I imagined he looked like.
Just so, like, I'm trying not to laugh out loud because like it's kind of stereotypical, but
Oh goodness.
I
His
think this
charges.
might be the guy. Yeah.
Oh, they're
Yeah,
not
well,
friends. They're not friends at all. They're not
well,
friends.
his last name was Mystica, and this is Osceola County inmate
Mhm.
search, so I don't think there's anybody else with that last name. His charges are aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, battery to touch or strike, which means he punched somebody, violate probation, community control, violate probation, community control.
I mean, all from barely even not that long ago, from last year or two.
Yeah, well, I mean, for him to be in jail and not prison, he would, yeah, it would have been recent, pretty much so anyway.
Yeah, I don't think this guy is. Yeah, he definitely seems to be the type that's you taking advantage of Stearns.
But now I'm curious how they would have come into contact.
Yeah, I am
Because
too.
it seems like what he's in jail for is it's not that serious, to
Right.
paraphrase Jen. And then to be in contact with, someone who's up for death. Like, yeah, that's interesting. Maybe he's
It
the guy
is.
who delivers the meals or something.
Oh yeah, he could be a trustee. His bond's
Yeah,
only 21,000, so that means he'd need 2,100 if he's on a 10%
yeah.
bond.
So it's more profitable for him to be in jail than to be out of it. It seems, because that's not a lot of money.
No.
Yeah, interesting.
And I just find it funny that this is the type of guy that Stearns thought, yeah, I guess it'd be okay. You can use my pen. Thank you, my friend. Thank you,
Yeah, that's
Thank you,
interesting.
puto.
you fool.
We can look at him.
Yeah,
Look at
I just want to say, yeah,
for
thank.
comparison, like look at all
Oh
of
my
the
God.
Oh,
so
Wow. Oh, I
So,
hope.
guy, I'm totally innocent. You see all that stuff on my
My
conviction, well, not
God.
conviction, yeah. When I'm being charged, I'm totally innocent. Okay, guys.
oh,
see
you
his
got
bond is
premeditated.
0 and it's premeditated murder, which
Good
means it was
Lord.
planned.
Oh,
I,
wow.
I 0
Yeah,
0 0.
because why did he have to come that weekend? You know, it's like, oh, I needed help to be. Maddie is 13. She turned 13. She doesn't need a babysitter. Uh, Jen's sister lived like the next apartment complex over, which is like I think 5 minutes over. She could
No,
have
Jen
saved
needed her
rent.
drugs. That was the only reason. Jen
Yeah,
needed her drugs.
exactly. She's like,
And
oh,
in
I needed help with
exchange,
her nighttime routine.
yeah.
Bruh, she can
Mm-hmm.
brush her teeth, take a shower, put on her pajamas, and go to sleep by herself. At 13, she doesn't have any kind of problem, condition, handicap, anything, disease, sickness that actually needs, someone like doing any of this for her. And now all of a sudden you need this dumbass to come from like 6 hours away or 3 hours away or whatever.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you could have left her with your sister who is like 5, 10 minutes away, or with your mother who lives like down the road from the school.
Yeah. It don't make sense.
No, Jen. I needed my sleep, my 2 days sleep.
My sleep. I
That's
needed
what
my
she
good
needed.
night's sleep. I needed my
For
good night's sleep.
2 days of sleep.
Yeah, 2 days off. two
Yeah.
days off, and this woman needs this clown to come up and help her child. What was he gonna do? He's gonna sit there and brush her teeth for her, brush her hair, like, oh,
And
it's
Maddie
disgusting.
she had already spent the previous week at her grandmother's. So Jen
Yep.
wasn't even being a mother that week. So
No,
the
but she
only,
missed Maddie. She had to spend time with her. She said.
Yeah.
yeah,
I had to see her for her. Well, I couldn't technically get off my job because I had to work, but I could have went to her birthday party. I could have. I'm a good mom.
she wasn't invited.
Yeah,
That's the truth. Her family
Yeah.
didn't want her there. That's why they made sure to do it on a day that she was working.
Yikes.
yeah, that doesn't sound that all crazy.
Because who has a birthday party on a Sunday? Usually it's Friday, Saturday, but not a
Yeah.
Sunday. So
Yeah.
they made sure she wasn't able to. Oh no, Jen, you just started a new job. You don't want to ruin that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot
So
of weird stuff going on in that family. There's a lot of weird dynamics.
Yep.
Because I'm like, what kind of mother? When this news broke, the first thing I said was, "What do you mean this mother didn't go to her daughter's birthday party?" I know it's a new job, but if she had just started like 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, the amount of time, I think she would have said to her boss, "Yeah, I know I'm just starting, but like the 27th or whatever the date was, like the
Mm-hmm.
they didn't
27th
even
is my
send
daughter's
any
birthday."
food. They didn't even send any food back with Maddie
No,
for Jen, which is
because
something
she
that
didn't
is
know what she
unheard
had.
of. Unheard
Exactly, she
of
didn't know
in
what she had.
yeah,
I'm sorry. Go
like
ahead.
they 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 didn't
Yeah.
want her there.
Yeah.
They didn't want her there. They didn't care about her. Like there wasn't even a slice of cake brought back for Jen. Like nobody.
Exactly.
Yeah, they don't like her. They don't like her. They
Because
didn't want
when
her
the
there.
boss
And
asked her, he was like,
yeah,
"So what did she eat at the party?" She was like, "Oh, she would have." Okay, anytime you answer with would is a
That's
conditional.
right.
I'm a teacher, so grammar plays an important part. Anytime someone answers the question with would, like, "Oh, on Tuesdays I normally do this." No, no, no. This Tuesday. Oh, I would never do that. No, I didn't ask you if you would. I'm asking if you did. Anytime a person like answers the question with would, of course, especially in a criminal type situation, would is a modal verb. Let me get into teacher mode here, which is an imaginary possibility. Like
Yeah.
what would you do if you won the lottery? Well, I don't play the lottery. I'm never going to win. But if I won the lottery, I would buy a house. It's an imaginary situation. It's not true. So
So
he
basically,
said, what
she
did she
didn't
have
know.
in her party? She would have her favorites, which is blah, blah, blah. But did she?
Yep.
And you said something. She didn't bring food home.
She didn't know.
Nobody doesn't do that. Is there a culture that you don't bring food home, especially the child would bring home the food, the
Yeah.
Oh
cake at least?
no.
I'm gonna want the rest of my cake, bitch. The cake is mine. I'm not sharing that with anybody else. That's gonna be all mine. You know
If
what I
I go
mean?
to
But like,
mama's or grandma's, I'm coming back with food. Shoot.
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Here, take these 17 casseroles back home so you can share with your mom who wasn't here because she had to work. Yeah, it's all
Yep.
very weird.
Yeah. I
It's all
agree.
very weird. See, the more we talk
I
about
have
it,
to
the more
leave
little
you fine
details I
people.
catch.
So thank you so much for hosting me.
Yeah. Thank you for
So
coming
And
up.
I
nice. Yes.
hope you all have a wonderful day.
I hope you do
You do
too.
the
You
same.
too.
Thank
Really
you.
good insights.
Thank you. We should do it again sometime.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
We should definitely do this more often. I think more people, I think a lot of people have a lot of interesting ideas, but
Hmm.
they're
Yeah.
shy, so they don't say it. But I think, yeah, it gets you thinking. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming up today, Mercedes.
awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Uh huh. Bye.
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 I guess I'm gonna be doing the same, but it was nice to be on the panel with you ladies today.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
good to see you up here too. And yeah, I'm probably gonna have to end it. It's about time for me to get to dinner.
Yeah. When one person leaves, that's when everybody's like, yeah, I gotta go too. I gotta go too. I gotta
Yeah.
go.
But like
And
I
it's
said,
Yeah.
really weird when the one person goes, everybody's like, oh, well, that's my cue to go.
bye. No,
Bye. Yeah.
but definitely, like I said, I enjoyed it, and just hope everyone has a blessed, safe afternoon, and just the rest of this week. And take care. Okay.
All right, you
Bye.
too. Thanks
I'm
for coming
going
up.
to.
All right. Bye
Yeah.
bye.
Just I just want to say like we're doing this for Maddie, not to like make a spectacle out of her, but because I think like we all kind of fell in love with this little girl. We become obsessed with these true crime cases because we're humans and we're normal and we have empathy, and like we see this beautiful blonde little girl who was always smiling and so full of life in the photos that we see of her, and it's heartbreaking. And I think it's just for us to kind of like think about the children in our lives, or the children that we have access to, and
Mhm.
really pay attention, and not be like, oh, I'm not going to say anything because it's not my business. Make it your business,
Yeah.
because children are innocent. They can't protect themselves, you know?
Yeah.
And that's it. And I'm going to go. Thank you for letting
Okay.
me come up here again.
Yeah. It was good to talk to you.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye. I hope you have a good day. All right, and I'm gonna go as well. Abella said, "Maddie's eyes always break my heart. She was sad always. Yeah, she did appear to be that way. She really did. I really enjoyed this today, talking to you guys and trying out the whole call-in thing. I'll have to get better at it. And I'll work on that. But I appreciate everybody coming up on panel and talking. I appreciate all your thoughts, opinions, and speculations. Tom said, I'd like to ask Stefan, are you looking forward to cuffing up before the guards strip search you every week? That is a good question. If you guys have any more questions that we haven't talked about or discussed, definitely feel free to leave them in the comments. And please hit the thumbs up on your way out if you haven't already. I hope you all have a wonderful day. If nobody has told you, you are important, you are special, and you are loved. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.